what I did. But, I mean, with that said, the rest of the game felt a lot more easier after that. But it's just been so refreshing. It really has. I initially went to stream the game because I like streaming games, right? I like having folks watch. But it's one of those games, and I feel like there's a lot of them that are out there that are like this, where I don't really want to have an audience for it because I just wanted to sit back and experience it. Because if you treat it like one of those kind of games, it really is an experience. There are so many times that I just got lost looking at some of the statues, how highly detailed they were, how completely different they were no matter where you went, which is crazy in a game like that, especially when you would think that they would reuse a lot of assets, but they don't. There's so much originality and artistry on display in this game, it is staggering, unreal. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video, was not only just to appreciate the game for what it is, but also to push back against a lot of the narratives that are out there around it. Because they just don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate it because they didn't bend to what these Western journalists wanted them to say. And it's ridiculous. We created a narrative about you. Please talk us off the cliff that we put you on. Please explain. Please. We are now judging you. We've decided that now you're being tried for these crimes. How do you respond? We don't? Oh, well, wait, what? What do you mean you don't respond? And it's really disappointing as a consumer because these are the people that are trying to be tastemakers. I lose my voice. I've talked a lot continually for a very long time. Lose my voice now. It's disappointing as a consumer because the thing is that it's just going to show that you really can't trust anyone other than yourself. You can't. If you want to know whether a game is good or not, watch somebody play it on stream or watch a YouTube video of it. That's what I do. Very fucking simple. Can't read what they say because all of it's going to be steeped in criticisms that are so biased. It's unreal. Find a creator, like you guys like what I like, watch me, watch him, mind the way that they would try to paint this game, and people kind of picture that they've been trying to paint it in. It really is sad. Their relevance is burning up faster than I can make videos on it. It sure is, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I absolutely enjoy making videos like this. These are my favorite videos to make. I think you guys will have by now. Many of you have actually subscribed because of the wake-up call videos. I keep calling. They don't pick up the phone. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to share this video. Give it a like. Drop a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this. And catch me live on Twitch if you guys want to hear me talk about gaming news and whatever else. Outside of that, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe, my friends. I'll catch you next time. I think that he brought up a lot of really, really good points. Especially about how, like a lot of it is, it's like an existential threat of having developers that are from places in the world that aren't accountable to your version of, like, looking at the world. Temu, shop like a billionaire. Download now. So Black Myth Wukong, it feels very weird, the negativity that is towards like Black Myth Wukong, I feel is some of the most forced and confusing shit that I've seen. Now, ever so often there's a game that comes out that meets and exceeds the expectations of the players. It blows our minds so good, but for some odd reason it doesn't meet the same expectations for games media. Our interests aren't aligned, our perspectives are not necessarily the same, and there's conflict in that. And I think that Black Myth Wukong is one of those games. And don't get me wrong, the game reviewed very well. It got over 80 on most review sites. But with that said, up until the game's release, and then even after the game's release, it was under a constant barrage of negative criticism. It had nothing to do with the game whatsoever. And in that, the game never really got a fair shake. At least it didn't get a fair shake, and it was obvious that it didn't. And a lot of the reviews that people gave for Black Myth Wukong contextualized the review alongside a slanderous article that was proven to be false that defamed the company that made the game, with proven lies that they would not, that they never issued a correction or a retraction from.
in my eyes. 2024 has been an absolutely insane year for games. There are so many great games to play, and if you're one of those people that are out there that are like, gaming is dying, let me be the first to tell you, you are a fucking idiot. It's not dying. It is one of the best years for gaming that we ever had. Play more games, or have the same ones over and over again. The list, once I get into some of the Game of the Year contenders, it's going to blow your mind, because I honestly forgot how many games even came out this year. It's fucking insane. People are talking about, like, anti-China sentiment. I think that, where is the anti-China sentiment with Genshin Impact? With those same people? It's not there. So I don't think that's really true. Dear. This isn't about the award. It's about the recognition these studios deserve, the reward they deserve, beyond just making money. It's making sure that it's known why these games are great, so that other publishers and studios can see, hey, this is what it is. This is how we make a game that the players love. And it's not, again, just not the money. But already I'm starting to see games media want to preemptively push back about Black Myth Wukong being in the Game of the Year category, and we're going to talk about that. Before that, today's sponsor. Yeah, of course, right? I mean, like, I think it's a huge issue. Ryan's American company, bought by Tencent? Yeah, true. It's about jealousy. I think that people are just trying to shit on this, and I guarantee you other publishers and studios are researching market and not looking at Game Awards. I think that that's true, but it's also fair to look at the Game Awards and see how it happens that's biased, and then call that out, because I think it's bad. War Thunder is a massive free-to-play, large-scale multiplayer game where you can fight anyone from around the world using ground vehicles, aircraft, helicopters, and naval vessels from the mid-20th century to present. The game is available on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. What really sets War Thunder apart is its commitment to realism and immersion. The graphics and sound design continually evolve, pulling you into battles that feel authentically intense. You're not just playing. The most expensive tank in the pay-to-win track for War Thunder is a tank from Israel. And I think that any American player that plays War Thunder should get that tank for free, since we actually paid for it with our tax dollars. In a game, you're experiencing the heart-pounding chaos of combat. Whether you're barreling through enemy lines in a tank, providing crucial air support, or engaging in thrilling dogfights, the freedom to choose your combat style is up to you. The game features various technologies such as night vision devices, smoke screens, and even nuclear explosions, which can turn the tide of battle in unexpected ways. A recent update called Dance of Dragons is a game-changer. Thanks to this update, you can now take command of a variety of French combat vessels and take control of two iconic American aircraft, the A-10 Thunderbolt II attack plane and the F-111 tactical bomber. In addition, there are many other combat vehicles available and dozens of improvements at the request of the community. So are you ready to join the fight? Download War Thunder today for free using the link in the pinned comment or description below. Have a new player or returning after a long blast or score some exclusive rewards, rentals for the P-40E-1 aircraft and M4 tank, unique skins, and 100,000 silver lions. Don't miss out. Thank you, War Thunder, for sponsoring this video. We have had a monstrous year in games, and it's wild to think that it's not even over yet with more releases right around the corner. This is about the time of year that Game of the Year candidates are being discussed and debated, and this year we have a lot of difficult choices to make. Dragon's Dogma 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Dragon's Dogma 2 is not even remotely in the running for Game of the Year. The game has so many flaws and it's so problematic. No, it's not even remotely close. Helldivers 2, Paper Mario, the Helldivers 2, not even remotely close. Your Door, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Persona 3 definitely not the Game of the Year. Prince of Persia was good, but it's not Game of the Year. Loaded, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Silent Hill 2 Remake are among the highest scoring games that we've had from reviewers this year. That's 8 games when only 6 games can be qualified as candidates. We're not even mentioning the stockpile of games that were scored just under that, with titles like Stellar Blade, Black Myth Wukong, Tekken 8, Like a Dragon Infinite World, Unicorn Overlord, Space Marine 2, and more. 2024 has been packed with games, but only a few titles are deserving of being crowned King of the Year. And for many players, that game is Black Myth Wukong. James Broughton of the Gamer Pendant Article. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I think Black Myth Wukong is Game of the Year, and I don't even think anything else is remotely close. I do. I think it's just so far and away better. It's like, it's the reason why is that it's not one thing, it's everything. It's that the combat is really good, the storytelling is really good, the graphics are really good, the cinematics are really good, like the voice acting is really good. Everything about it is S tier. Titled, If Black Myth Wukong isn't nominated for Game of the Year, fans are going to be insufferable. I love how the implication there is that the fans are the ones that are in the wrong, not the people. Like, what is the logic? So, if all the people that are saying that this game should be Game of the Year, why exactly does that happen? I don't even understand that. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So, like, it's like, yeah, we're the ones that are insufferable. Maybe it's you. Right. Black Myth Wukong is a very good action game, taking the Souls-like formula and stretching it into a boss rush format. Its popularity even surpasses that of its inspirations, garnering millions of players in mere days. It's a genuine contender for the Game Awards, but with how stacked 2024 is shaping up to be, competition is fierce. Polygon recently updated its Game of the Year frontrunner list while the Golden Joystick Awards announced its 6 nominees for this year's PC and console Game of the Year categories. Black Myth Wukong is nowhere to be seen outside of smaller categories, and so TikTok right now is a deluge of angry gamers declaring that games media is corrupt and that it's all a part of some wider conspiracy. I think it is. I think that's exactly what's happening. I think that Black Myth Wukong is indicated, and I'm just going to say it straight out. I think that's exactly what's happening. And it's evident to any person with a brain. You have a games media hegemony of people that all behave and have the exact same opinions, that all cross-reference each other for some form of credibility. And they've all collectively gotten together and tried to push a false narrative that Black Myth Wukong is a mediocre game, and that the studio that makes it is sexist. This is ridiculous. And for me to think that that's not a factor, or that like this just randomly happened, it's insulting to the intelligence of any person that is like reading this. Yes, it absolutely is a deluge of angry gamers. Because that's exactly what it is. It is a conspiracy. They're not giving it to them. It's the same reason why the conspiracy was to give this game an 8. It's not an 8. This game's easily a 9 or a 10. To say that the game had no women representation? Yeah, because you didn't get to part 4. It's unbelievable. Yeah, people think it's part of a conspiracy. That's because it is. The game was not rigged from the start. It's just been a very, very competitive year. You have to keep in mind that IGN rated Black Myth Wukong, I think, an 8, and it rated Dragon Age Veilguard a 9. It is a conspiracy. It's happening, and it's right in front of you. And Concord is 7. It's happening right in front of you. Everybody can see it, and you're made to feel like a fool whenever you see what's in plain sight. It's absolutely happening. Sorry. It's just truth. Wider conspiracy. The game was not rigged from the start. It's just been a very, very competitive year. This week alone, we've had Silent Hill 2 Remake, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, 3 critically acclaimed hits that are all vying for the spotlight with equal fervor. Earlier this year, we saw the launch of Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Tekken 8, Helldivers 2, and Dragon's Dogma. That's not to mention, do you think that Dragon's Dogma should be in the running for Game of the Year over Black Myth Wukong? You are retarded. That's it. Like there's no other way to look at it. And the stellar year it's been for indies. Black Myth Wukong, while good, we scored at 4 stars, just doesn't measure up to the way scored at 4 stars. I love how they always like referencing back to their own scoring, as if this is some sort of like indication of credibility. Yeah, we're not biased, because if you look at our previous bias, it will reinforce our current one. It's so ridiculous. I really like Dragon's Dogma 2. I did as well, but I know that it's not Game of the Year.
Also, think about again that Stellar Blade wasn't mentioned here either.
For indies. Black Myth Wukong, while good, is an obvious bias, and any normal person, any logical, reasonable person can see that. 44 stars just doesn't measure up to the greats. Hell, it's not even the best Souls-like this year, as that award goes to Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. For those that have used Wukong as fuel in a culture war since before it was even released, its absence on these lists is an attack. It absolutely is. And the people that used it in the culture war were the journalists that slandered the company, based off of their misunderstanding of the Chinese language. That's exactly what happened. Any normal person can see that. I'm sorry, but like, it's obviously happening. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was proven. And, well, actually, no, that's true. It was deliberate. Employed by Games Media for reasons, even though it has an open critic aggregate of 82. There's one big argument popping up across Reddit and slowly replacing all the goth girls on my For You page as to why it deserves to be nominated. It's sold well. James, I will speak for those that you are arguing against. Black Myth Wukong doesn't deserve to be nominated because of its sales, it deserves to be nominated because it is the first ever release from a studio, an inexperienced studio, that made a stunningly gorgeous game with great combat, a compelling story, beautiful music, incredibly detailed and culturally accurate environments, some of the most unique boss encounters I've seen in a game like this, and themes that we don't often see in games. It was original, fresh, and most importantly fun. And while many of the games that were mentioned in this article are incredible games, they are just copies of previous titles or even remakes. The industry, I personally think that remakes and DLC shouldn't be able to win Game of the Year. This is just like my own personal 2 cents, so everybody's going to have their own opinion on it, but I don't think the DLC and remake should win Game of the Year. I don't think it's fair. To be celebrating and rewarding studios that work this hard, take a risk, and deliver something altogether new. And we're not even mentioning how the game sold at a fair price. I'm so exhausted by this. Do you want to know why players think there's some grand conspiracy? Do you want to know why? Why does everybody think this? Maybe the reason why everybody thinks it is because it's true. Has it ever occurred to you that maybe when everybody collectively comes to a conclusion of something, that maybe there could be some reason why they think this is happening? $60 is a fair price. Absolutely, it's a fair price for a game. It's the same price that was in 2005. They think there's some media bias. Well, you're not doing yourself any service when you try to minimize the game at every given turn. Y'all did a Souls-like, it's not even a Souls-like. I actually did the same thing on video too, so I'm actually not going to take points away from you for that. But I don't understand where this idea that this game somehow became something that the culture war LARPers had latched onto even before its release, because to my recollection, the only thing that I can remember is Games Media were the ones that were pushing these allegations from IGN against game science through different articles, and then also at the exact same time, there were a ton of unsubstantiated allegations that referenced and referred to unknown sources in nondescript ways to make them seem like they were more valid and important than they were. Pining over tweets that were completely mistranslated. If anything, it was Games Media that was dragging this game into the culture war, not the other way around. It's just not true. Nobody was talking about this game being woke or anything like that, or like anti-woke, anything like that, like before they put out those articles. Nobody was thinking about that. It's the same thing as about how they talked about how the game, like you guys remember the reviews about how like the game didn't have any women in it? As if like, by the way, having women in the game is some sort of indicator of quality. What a retarded premise to begin with. But on top of that, the only thing that showed me is that all the reviewers that played this game didn't actually beat the game, because they never saw the full story of the game. They only played probably the first chapter and then they quit it. It's just like, it's so brain dead and just... Of course people are going to be thinking this is part of a culture war because they were the ones that started attacking it. That's the reason why. They're just mad that people didn't buy their bullshit hit piece on the game being sexist? Yeah, I think so too.
Why waste time hoping for a reply when you could start talking to someone instantly?
Was there also the game signs turned down Sweet Baby money, too? I don't think that's accurate.
The entire time before this game's release, and this is the reason why I say the game didn't get a fair shake, is that every single time this game was brought up, it was always with a qualifier. Yeah, Black Myth Wukong is a fantastic action game, but there was this report from IGN that was also based on some mistranslations, but we don't really care about that much. But anyway, they said there were some people that reviewed it and contextualized their review around it. And so, no women in Failguard either. This is against fine with a woman is? Yeah. Crazy people can't just enjoy the game without inserting politics into it? Yeah. I think this is a huge issue, and I will be doing I'll tell you guys this. So, I said that I was going to do this, and I never did it. The Shame Awards. So, what are the Shame Awards? I will be completely transparent. I didn't do it because of my relation with like OTK, Mad Mushroom, and everything. They thought it might make us look bad. Problem solved. So now we're doing it. And so now what we're going to be doing is we are going to be looking at the worst representation, worst graphics, most garbage performance, biggest Mary Sue character. And we are doing this by the end of the year. I am very fucking excited. It's good? Yep, it's very, very good. Some things that they do, some things somebody needs to do great with. Black Myth Wukong, we're giving an 8 out of 10, but just to let you know, we saw some tweets that were also mistranslated, and we didn't really like exactly what they said or the things that this company stands for. It was always like that. The game never got a fair chance, at least in the media light. And that's not the same for they never gave it a fair chance. Absolutely not. And you see this all the time. So, like, here's a great example. When Jesse Ventura ran for governor of, I believe, Minnesota, they introduced him as a former wrestler rather than a politician, or rather than any of his other jobs. And there are always these ways that media uses to delegitimize and make people less valid. And it's like these like really soft like changes in vocabulary that the average person can't detect and can't see. Yeah, former Navy SEAL or something like that. No, yeah, like a former wrestler. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so, and it's very obvious that this happens. And I find this to be a huge problem. And I'll tell you guys, I hate media. I absolutely hate them. I think that they are 100% against the will of the people. I think that they exist as a parasite. And 9 times out of 10, they make the world worse and not better. I hate them. They're scummy as fuck, absolutely. And it's true with games media, it's true with political media, it's true with all media. Former minor, yeah, there's another one. Like, I don't think that there is enough. I don't think that there is enough vitriol for the amount of just obvious propaganda and lies that they put out all the time. Every other game that was out there, all the rest of the games never had any. This is the same stuff. And the worst part is again, all these things were alleged, never even proven, yet they were touted as fact. They were included in game reviews. Well, they were alleged also, by the way, they were alleged by anonymous sources. So it's not only, and it's not only that, oh, this might have not happened, it's also that we don't even know who said it. Game review videos and reviews. You don't think that's too far? What do you think is the purpose of that when you put that stuff into an article other than to minimize the game and hopefully steer players away from buying it? That's their goal. That's the point. Yeah, you want to understand and know why players think there's some grand conspiracy? Because it's not hard for them to jump to that conclusion. When it's staring though, it's right there. Yeah, it's not jumping to conclusion. We've been fucking Ubered there by the people themselves. 2 inches from their face. On the topic of the game's sales, the writer continues with, "It's hardly a compelling defense, but sales figures have long been used as evidence that supposedly anti-woke games like Wukong are what your everyday gamer really wants. In reality, it was a success because the game was marketed to the enormous untapped Chinese demographic." Well, we all have to keep in mind that Chinese players and video game people are only weighted as 3/5 of an American player or a Western player. They're not a full entire gamer. So you shouldn't really think about Chinese gamers the same as Western gamers. They're separate, but they're not equal. Sorry. It was only made worse when streamers were supposedly sent guidelines asking them not to mention feminist propaganda or politics. Black Myth Wukong became the poster child for the most toxic, vocal gamers on the internet, and everything since its launch has only worked to further that image. Another funny thing about that is that if this retard knew anything about the way that China works, the reason why you're not supposed to mention feminist propaganda or politics is because a lot of times China has those restrictions on companies themselves because they restrict speech in China in a very large way. And those restrictive speech expectations were translated to a marketing agency, and it wasn't westernized. So if this person actually knew anything about the culture that they're trying to understand or actually really completely slander in this case, they would know that the reason why this happened actually had nothing to do with the game, and it had everything to do with the company just doing this out of an abundance of caution to avoid ire from the government. The same thing is in other studios that make games in China as well. It's pathetic to me. It's just so pathetic. Gamers on the internet, and everything since its launch has only worked to further that image. Wukong was a monumental hit, there's no denying that. Within days, it skyrocketed to the 7th most played game on Steam of all time, with a peak concurrent player count of 2.4 million players, but numbers on everything. Then what is Banana, the viral clicker game that generates Steam Marketplace items, has a higher 24-hour peak than Black Myth Wukong right now by over 100,000 players. Avengers, Infinity War, and Spider-Man No Way Home are among the highest-grossing films of all time, but they didn't walk away with the pinnacle Oscar for good reason. Avengers Infinity War should have won Oscars. It was an S-tier movie, and it was a cinematic accomplishment that we haven't seen probably more than like a dozen times. It was the culmination of a 10-year story that has been built up and translated into film and put together. It's not even remotely close. Like, I love how there's these people that think that, like, wow, like, I'm so smart, I'm somehow, like, mentally superior because I don't like comic book movies. It's just like, that's like Reddit tier intelligence. That, like, oh, comic book movies are, like, low quality. It was an amazing movie. Any normal person could see that. Sales do not equal quality, but Black Myth Wukong has been weaponized in a culture war ever since it was announced, and it doing well has only been used as ammunition to argue that games media is out of touch with gamers. Not being now that they are. Games media is absolutely out of touch with gamers. If they weren't out of touch, they wouldn't be doing mass layoffs. The reason why they're doing mass layoffs is because they're not making enough money. And the reason why they're not making enough money is because the products that they're putting out don't have an audience that they can make enough money with them on. It's very simple. Anybody can see that. Like, I just... Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Remember, mass layoffs are hitting the Western studios the most? Well, not only are they hitting them the most, do you know what Capcom is doing? Capcom is hiring people. Also, again, From Software recently announced that they were raising the baseline salary at their company. So this problem is not with games, it's with the specific people that are making games. From Software is rising wages, yeah. Bandai increased wages, yeah, there you go. with the Year Awards. It's October. It's likely going to be in the mix for a lot of sites, and still could be up for many categories at the Game Awards, is just more fuel to prove that point. It hasn't upset fans because they think it's a good game deserving to be among the best. It has upset fans because they see its absence as an attack in their one-sided feud. It's crazy the amount of gaslighting that an article like this can do. Because the one-sided feud, well, what about when you started writing articles about it and saying that it was bad? How is that one-sided? It's dishonest. Yeah, exactly. It's amazing how this happens. They started it. They absolutely started it. And also, I think that a lot of people thought the game was deserving because it was the best. Like this idea that like, oh, people only like Black Myth Wukong because it's a non-woke game. Nobody thinks that. That's stupid. Like, it's unbelievable how dishonest these people are. As we edge nearer the big celebratory end-of-the-year closer that is the Game Awards, we are going to see this outrage spiral. If Black Myth Wukong doesn't get a nomination for the main award, it has a few competitors to shut out in Best Action, its fans will see that as a personal slight. We're witnessing it already, and I've seen my colleagues get it that they will see that as a personal slight because it is a personal slight. It's like if you look at the sun, you'll see that it will burn your eyes. If you put your hand on something that's hot, you will see that it will burn your hand. Yes, that's correct, because it is. Over the past year, just for covering the game. If fans are this riled up by an award ceremony many self-proclaim they've never heard of, or a list of frontrunners that means very little, then I can't see being snubbed for the Game Awards going down well. Of course, man, the lack of self-awareness when saying that the sales of the game were used as ammunition in a culture war, while you yourself are focusing purely on the sales of the game to minimize the entire discussion around the game. That's interesting. It's convenient to go after the outrage of those. There's also another big problem that, like, a lot of the writing that's on these websites are they're very bad. Like, these people are not very persuasive. And they're either, basically the writing is either equivalent to Dragon Age Veilguard, or it's a theater kid that's trying to show off that he owns a thesaurus. There's no, like, genuine, like, good, like, like, communication that has any form of edge to it at all. Who can't voice their concerns properly because the writer is absolutely right. Sales does not mean a game should be Game of the Year. If sales were the leading factor, then Baldur's Gate 3 should have lost to Hogwarts Legacy, or Call of Duty should have won for 5 years straight since it was the best-selling game since 2017. There are a slew of other factors here that should be discussed, but the writer and other media pundits aren't taking the time to discuss that. They're just hand-waving the angry gamers and throwing it out into the bin with the rest of the culture war commentary. Now my question is, why is it, by the way, they do all the time? Like, you have to keep in mind that this whole idea of, like, a culture war, people that play video games that are, quote, capital G gamers, they're on the defense of that. Gaming was fine. Everything was great with gaming. Then you had people come into gaming and expect changes, appropriations, and exceptions, and different types of modifications to it. And now they're changing it to be the way that they want it. So, what is this like? It's a culture war, but they're the ones that have inserted themselves into the space and then tried to change the space in a way that people don't want. They are the aggressors. They're the ones that are trying to do this. Other people are just trying to play video games. That on the topic of game sales, the Chinese player base is used to minimize the overall impact of the game's sales, success, and popularity. Again, to quote the writer, the game was a monumental hit. There's no denying that. Only to follow it up with, but it succeeded because there was an untapped Chinese market of players. Yeah. Like, those players don't even count? Why aren't we having a discussion on why, censorship aside, Western games haven't been able to penetrate that market as effectively as Black Myth Wukong, especially because they're bad? It's obvious. What are we talking about? It's obvious. Actually, when there are that many players that could make that much of an impact on a game's sales. Black Myth Wukong is just as deserving as any other title that could go up there for Game of the Year. That's not saying that those games aren't worthy either. They are. But the thing is that it just feels like the coverage around this game, the discussions around this game, have just felt off. It's the same thing that happened with Stellar Blade. And it's the same thing that happened with Dragon Age to Veilguard. It's very obvious that games media has their favorites, and they're looking at this guy Call of Duty 6 war with the Saddam, his Black Myth Wukong's bad. This is like, so like, what am I even doing? You're just going to get banned. I don't need to pull you up and argue with you. You're just going to get banned. Anyway, like, yeah, as I said, we're going to try to stop. We're going to stop doing that in stream. Just ban them and move on. I apologize, guys. We're going to do our best. We don't need to waste everybody's time with this. Anyway, there are a lot of games that have happened, and it's been very obvious that, and Concord is another good example, is that these games come out, and it's very obvious that there's a bias that's being expressed with games media, and you see multiple points on a line, but the moment, multiple points on a graph, but the moment that you draw the line, you're seen as a conspiracy theorist. No. I'm sorry. No. If you want people to think that you're not doing a conspiracy, then stop doing things that look like a conspiracy. Purposefully dishonest in a lot of ways. Black Myth Wukong was incredibly popular. It was incredibly popular with the Chinese because it was the first game that really represented their culture and history in a way that could bridge the gap between nations. Players around the world loved it. They connected with it. And because of that, it brought down cultural boundaries. We don't see that very often, and that's what's so crazy about it, is that we're not talking about the fact that, we can now have a shared experience with Chinese gamers, and we can have a game that we all know and love, and we can talk about it, that more closely brings gamers around the world together because of that shared experience. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about like some bullshit accusation. Playing games journalists is obviously based on money, what people don't understand. They'll write whatever the fuck they're told to write. I honestly wish that it was that simple. It should be something that everybody should be cheering for and happy for. That is the power of this hobby. That is what it can accomplish at times, but we're losing sight of that. I think this all loops back to the fact that game science did not bend the knee and fealty to games media when they started hurling accusations at them, baseless accusations at them, and demanded an answer.
Sabrina Carpenter performs live when CBS presents the MTV VMAs tomorrow, live on CBS. Join millions growing their career with Coursera. Start learning today.
We were torn apart at birth. That's dramatic. Black Myth Wukong is a wake-up call. This game, for many others, including myself, represents what many of us have been asking for a long time, which is just a game that's the left, laughing at the elite pedophile ring conspiracy in 2016. Ha ha ha, all you right-wing people are crazy. What do you mean, elite pedophile ring? The left, trying to connect Trump to the elite pedophile ring they previously denied existing. They're trying so hard. This is what we call mega copish. So, there's been a bit of an Epstein bombshell recently. It's been kind of insane. A bunch of the Epstein victims came forward, thanks to the Democrats, who kind of flushed them into the public. And they came forward and they said, guys, we are the Epstein victims, and if you won't release the list, we will. This is crazy. They actually directly start asking Epstein victims, did you see Trump? Is Trump involved? Is Clinton involved? Black Myth Wukong is a wake-up call. This game, for many others, including myself, represents what many of us have been asking for a long time, which is just a game that's a game. Nothing else. No modern gaming trend chasing, no microtransactions, no live service model. It's not a platform for future expansions. It's just a game that's delivered at a fair price that gives us an incredible experience. That's exactly what this game is. Imagine that. Damn good one at that. Yeah. Through fabricated controversies and criticism steeped in biases, this game has persevered. It sent shockwaves across the industry. Well, it's because all of the IGN articles, about how the game company is bad, all the Chinese people are like, well, I don't read English. They don't even see it. Yeah, they're not even seeing it. It doesn't even happen. in popularity, and it's going to leave a lasting impact. Today what I want to do is I want to talk about my experience with Black Myth Wukong, but more than that, I want to talk about how this game embarrassed the people that tried to stop it, and what it means for games.
My favorite part about the whole controversy is the idea that all of the players are in China. Like, so what does that mean to you? Can you elaborate on what that means to you? What do you mean? So, oh, they're all Chinese. Okay, alright, so what do you mean by this? I don't know, it's so weird, isn't it? Yeah, so interesting. Huh.
The gaming industry is at a crossroads. For years, major publishers have doubled down on the belief that live service games are the future, insisting that players crave ongoing multiplayer experiences with microtransactions, season passes, and endless content updates. They've argued that single-player games are a relic of the past, too niche to sustain in an era where constant engagement and monetization...
EA says people don't really enjoy linear games as much today. You gotta cut the bridge when you realize you can't make a lot of money on something. That's crazy.
Wow. Yet, the past few years have told a completely different story. Games like Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, Tears of the Kingdom, and Hogwarts Legacy have not only shattered sales records, but have captured the hearts of millions of players worldwide. These single-player, widely single-player experiences with their rich narratives, immersive worlds, and focus on player agency have proven that there is a massive untapped hunger for games that prioritize quality over quantity and meaningful experiences over endless grinds. Now entering the stage is Black Myth Wukong, a game from a country that's not necessarily known for releasing AAA titles, and it's another beacon of what players have been yearning for, a well-crafted, story-driven experience that delivers on its money. Telling the tale of one of the greatest,
It's just that the game is plays well. I feel like a lot of people don't understand how big of a factor that is. Like, a lot of video games nowadays do not play well. Like, Star Wars Outlaws does not play well. Like, for example, the way that the character interacts with, like, the floor. The way the character interacts with talking to an NPC. Like, there's all of these, like, little things where, like, if something does not play well, then it's bad. It's like New World is a great example of a game that does not play well. Deadlock plays so fucking well, well, it's a Valve game. Like, Overwatch plays insanely fucking well. It's so good. Like, Classic WoW plays so well. There's Elden Ring plays so well. Well-known literary works of all time. It doesn't rely on the trappings of live service models or in-game shops, selling 10 million copies within days of the game's release, and breaking concurrent player number records with over 2 million players on Steam. But they're in China!
And player preferences isn't just a fluke.
They're not! It's not real!
Change within
People in China!
a change that the industry can no longer afford to ignore.
Yeah.
Black Myth Wukong was supposed to be just that, a myth. I remember the early trailers.
Also, like, I like the idea of the fact that, like, we're getting games that are, like, worldwide, like, global games. I really like that. I think that's super cool. The idea that, like, us and, like, you know, it's like Elden Ring comes out and, like, everybody in China and Japan and like, Russia and, like, America are playing this. Like, I think that's so cool. That's awesome to me. So yeah, I hope this keeps happening. Like, India, yeah.
So a lot of the dialogue around it at the time, which is that this is an unknown developer, a first-time developer, a Chinese developer using Unreal Engine 5, and we already see the history with some of those games. This is likely a scam. I thought it was. Many people thought it was. But it's real. It's so real that it doesn't feel real when you're playing it. This is one of the most gorgeous games that I've played in a long time. It feels great to play. The story is absolutely incredible. There is a stop animation cutscene in the best-looking game in 2024. The creativity, originality, and keep in mind, that stop-action cutscene then later on led to a quest line that was in another act that happened in the past.
It was just insane. The cutscenes are beautiful, yeah. This game redeemed Unreal 5 for me. You know what, man? I can see where you're coming from. Because there's been a lot of games that have been Unreal 5 games, and they've been a disappointment to me. For me, I thought the Vindictus playtest was really great, and that was where I kind of felt like, you know what, maybe the problem isn't Unreal 5, it's just bad games. But like, I think Black Myth Wukong is definitely like the assurity, right? Wars of the Fallen, they've done a lot to improve. I wanted to go back and play Wars of the Fallen again. But now, I mean, now with Core Keeper, like, I just added 100 hours onto my video game obligations. Quality and beauty of this game is something that many modern developers can't even comprehend. But it's an experience that players have been needing for a long time. Black Myth Wukong is just a damn good game. It's not revolutionizing game design or reinventing the wheel, it's just delivering a high-quality experience at a fair price. I'm a little over 40 hours into the game, and I take a lot of time playing it because it's just that good of an experience that I want to savor it. The game is exactly what I feel. That's why I don't have a boss gauntlet. You explore areas and fight enemies, discover secrets, take on side quests, but ultimately you are fighting a boss every few minutes because the game just has that many of them. I think that's one of the reasons why like, this game has been very successful, like at least on Twitch too, is that watching boss fights is more interesting than watching people clear trash. Like comparatively, like Elden Ring DLC had a lot of boss fights, which is what made it really popular. So it's like this is kind of a stream-focused thing, but I think it's one of the reasons why Black Myth Wukong has been very popular on Twitch. It's more fun to play. Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, for me, I thought it was really fun to play. I love open world games. I do. Like you guys know this. Like Wuthering Waves, like all those other games. Like I always play all the way through them. I really enjoy them a lot. I actually wish that Black Myth Wukong had more of that, but again, that's just my opinion, right? I think that one of the things I'm most impressed with is not just how many enemies there are, but how much variety there is in all of these different boss designs, enemy designs, and mechanics throughout the game. I felt like every few seconds I was playing the game, I was already seeing a new enemy type, learning new patterns or attack patterns from them, and compare that with Dragon's Dogma 2. Dragon's Dogma 2, which should have been as good as Elden Ring. It should have been. New abilities. Yet over the last few years, I've been so exhausted with generic AAA reskinning. Studios spending hundreds of millions of dollars, but they just keep copying and pasting the same enemy over and over with a recolor. However, Black Myth Wukong is the embodiment of variety. Whether it's a new enemy type, locations, abilities you learn, or spirits you collect, each time I sat down, I felt like I did not know what to expect. I think variety is really important in a game like this because if you're anything like me, the longer you play a game, the more it drags on, the more repetitive it starts to feel, and the more likely you are to just want to run through every section of the game just trying to get to the finish line because you want to say that you've beaten it. I'm actually not like that. For me, my enjoyment of games goes up over time because, like, I'm very much a slow learner, but I'm very good at mastering things and figuring out everything about them. So like, the more that I play a game, the more that I want to play the game, because now I'm feeling like I'm gaining mastery over the game. Like, for example, like, cap. Okay, I'm going back playing Monster Hunter again, continuing that. Oh, here we go. Here, let's look at Dragon's Dogma. What's this, where's my achievements that I just got? Wow, level 200, huh? Wow, look at that. Dragon's Dogma 2. Look at this. I'm level 200, and I think it's 200 in Dragon's Dogma 2. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, so look at Starfield. Where's Starfield? Who cares, actually? I don't even know where it is. No, whenever I play games, I want to go all the way in on those games. 200? Yes, I am level 200 in Starfield. That's correct. That's right. There's not an achievement for it. There's an achievement for level 100, there's not an achievement for 200. 200 is insane. Whenever I play games, I beat them. Black Myth Wukong does not let you go. This game sends out flashes of brilliance at every step, reimagining what the experience of a semi-linear action game can be and pushing the medium forward.
This is so good. Yeah. I was already impressed with how jaw-droppingly gorgeous this game is. However, I'm also like a small thing is going back to previous acts and having things to do in those previous acts. It makes the game feel like it's more immersive and it's less linear. Like, for example, going back and fighting the Red Long, you know? Ever so often, I would find these lookout points where you would go to sit and meditate, listen to calming music. People say that God of War has this game's world design and being rewarded with a talent point upon completion. Yeah. I'll be real, I don't really normally like this kind of thing. I see it as a waste of time. However, in a game like this, after fighting countless enemies, sweating it out on bosses, these meditation points facilitated making this game feel more like an experience rather than a game. It gave me the time that I needed, a moment to drink it in, refocus, and venture forth.
Well, I think it's also like I'll watch people that play the game, and I actively try to do this while I'm playing and streaming the game. And not just this game, but any other game. And I try to actually like really emphasize the art and the design of the game because I think it creates a more cohesive and comprehensive experience, right? It's more holistic. Like, for example, when I played like the WoW expansion, I tried to look at like, you know, the world and everything, and I give people a really good view of the way that the game is made. I think it adds a lot to the immersion.
I loved it. I remember when I finished Act 2, and I really hope other people share this experience, but I was met with a stop animation cutscene, and I just sat there awestruck. The artistry and imagination on display ripped me away from any other distractions. My attention was fully on the game. My respect was fully on the game. After this, I started taking notice to every sight and sound in the game. How well crafted some of the statues were. How areas never seemed to repeat themselves. How the music would flow in and out, trying to evoke a very specific emotion depending on what you were doing or where you were. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this game's story, character writing, voice acting, musical, and visual production. When I started playing,
I love the rat. I don't know like what the rat does or anything, but he's my favorite character. Yeah, he's so good.
I knew that this game was going to be good, but I never imagined it as a Warhawk game.
Oh yeah, the Warhawk,
yeah. Like Game Science to deliver a story experience rather than just telling you a story. You have to listen, truly listen when you're talking to NPCs because they'll often give you hints at side quests and objectives that will deepen your understanding of the story and its meaning. It blows my mind how few journalists and professional reviewers took note of how satisfying and unique the narrative delivery and overall experience of playing this game is. There is a timeless appeal to a game like
I think that there's a lot of worry inside of, I think, like development studios that places other than, I would say, like them, could be making games that can compete with them. So I feel like a Chinese-made game, in some capacity, is a threat by the nature of the fact that it's a Chinese-made game. Is it now you're having like competition from another place that you can't control, that the market can also use as well? Right, the bar gets raised. Well, it is that the bar gets, it's more competition, right? It shouldn't be? Yeah, but that's the way it is. Game science is substantial for upcoming games? Yeah. Journalists focus on different aspects of the game? Yeah, well, that's the problem, right? Is journalists care about things the players don't care about.
It's delivering on something that goes far beyond entertainment. It's something deeper, it's something more personal, and ultimately more satisfying. More satisfying than the vast majority of games I've played over the last few years. And this is one of the reasons why I love seeing smaller studios and new studios come up, is because they get it. They still remember that the game is art first and a product second. And when you're a company like Game Science and you pour everything into a game because it's the game that you want to make, and you love what you're making, well, this is the end result. A game that gets...
I think that, like, it's just... I feel like games are art and they're also a product, and it really depends on, like, kind of where you want to draw that line. But at the end of the day, I think the problem is when the people who are doing the art feel like their vision is more important than what players want. And I think that the best example of this was like Shadowlands and WoW. So like in World of Warcraft, there was an expansion that came out, and there was like 7 or 8 different features in this expansion that were like huge handicaps for players that people didn't like having to deal with. And people brought this feedback up over and over and over. They were like, we don't like this, don't put this in the game. And they were like, we have to put this in the game. And then people quit the game, and then they changed their mind. That's the issue, right? It's not that games are a product or an art, but the fundamental is that the art has to appeal to an audience. That message across, and it makes a lot of money. Profit comes after. You have to make a great game for them to do. When I look at failures like Concord, or I look at how poorly received Starfield was by fans, I start seeing studios that have people that are just clocking in rather than locking in. And that's a fucking fact. Absolutely. I wonder like how enthusiastic a lot of these people are about working and like about making their games. That's a really good way to say it. Yeah, that's bars. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I don't think it's sustainable. You can feel the reverence for Journey to the West through Black Myth. Yeah, for sure. You see it in the art, absolutely, in the music, you see it in the characters, in the voice acting, the writing, the stop motion, and the hand-drawn cutscenes. You see how much respect they have for the work that they were adapting. And for that, I've never been more disgusted with Western media's attempt to ruin it for everyone. As Black Myth Wukong continues to gain traction and impress gamers worldwide, it has also found itself at the center of a made-up controversy, particularly in the form of smear campaigns orchestrated by some Western journalists and media, particularly in the form of smear campaigns. Black Myth Wukong's PR strategy of silence has failed. Really, it's failed? That's crazy. Wow. I didn't know that.
Get an extra large New York style pizza for just $9.99. Hurry up, it won't be here long.
I'm off your chair to finish what you started. Hours of engagement, flexible. I'm trying to do what's right. That's damn. Wow. It's orchestrated by some Western journalists and media outlets. These efforts, often subtle yet pervasive, aim to undermine the game's success and cast doubt on its quality and legitimacy. The criticisms of Black Myth Wukong by certain Western outlets like IGN isn't about the game's content. I think it's a reflection of a broader discomfort with the rise of non-Western developers in the AAA space. I think that's exactly it. He is totally fucking right. It's all about keeping the development space like pure, right? Like I'm not trying to make like a like some sort of like Nazi correlation here, but like keeping it to where like the culture is the same. And there can be a monolithic way of expressing that culture. And I think that's what's happened, is that like games like Black Myth Wukong, and I think the same thing's true with like Star Rail and other games that are made from developers that are outside of like the Western area, is that these developers don't care about this, they don't have the same values that like Western developers do, and so Western developers see them as a threat. Because like the truth is that if people have the option, why would somebody want to play a game that's patronizing them? Developers, the media, actual critical, we're seeing genuine cultural diversity. And this is another issue too, right? It's like the media doesn't have control over like the way that a video game is perceived in China. Right? Like some American media company doesn't have control over that, so they don't like it. They want to push it down because like people are afraid of what they can't control and they can't manipulate. Which I think is all the more obvious of yeah, they're losing their grip. Exactly. For Sony's recent failure in Concord. The smear campaigns tend to focus on nitpicking details, spreading misinformation, and creating narratives that paint the game in a negative light, praying that people find them relevant and take their criticism seriously. Because I'm a legitimate journalist, everybody's favorite gaming reviewers in Kotaku took to writing a lengthy review of Black Myth Wukong painted in a temper tantrum. With the introduction reading, "There is a moment in Black Myth Wukong where it is the perfect visual metaphor for the game's hopeful, proud ascension as China's big breakthrough into the Western AAA pantheon. Unfortunately, that moment is restricted, and we can't talk about it." There are moments in Black Myth Wukong of such enthralling beauty and visual poetry and myth-making, almost unlike anything we've seen in the current AAA gaming space right now. We can't show them to you or discuss their contents. There are realms of lore and mythology and parables and morality plays dancing with such wild abandon. NDA? Like, this is the most melodramatic way to say that they're under an NDA that I've ever heard. Fantastical, whimsical, imaginative character work and design, giving depth and beauty and context to the otherwise obtuse narrative of Black Myth Wukong. We can't tell you anything about them. And the review continues like this. This childish behavior is in response to a leaked email from Game Science's PR partner asking creators who were given codes to refrain from talking about politics, feminist propaganda, fetishization, and other content that instigates negative discourse. What Kotaku, as well as many other journalists' response to this work, can be easily read as, "We are mad that we aren't allowed to talk about anything that doesn't have to do with video games, so instead, we're going to write angry reviews with backhanded comments."
Legitimate journalists will take...
It's fine. It's not a big deal. It is the way it is. It's just the way it is. This is why they're going out of business. It's unbelievable. Like, I feel like it'd be pretty damn awkward to only be able to talk about the game. Well, the problem is that was never the case. This was always... See, and I'm surprised journalists don't know this. I feel like journalists should know this. Like, I just... It's like, you know, what's the thing where it's like you're so stupid that you don't know you're stupid, the Dunning-Kruger effect or something like that? I think that's what it's referred to, right? Yes, yeah. But they don't even know what they don't know. It's crazy. All I care about is the game. Why would you read the article otherwise? Yeah. Issue with this. I'm going to keep it real. I don't know the context of this email, however, as a creator, this looks like a poorly written briefing for sponsored content. Here's what happened. It's such a simple fucking explanation, and I've given it 3 times. Hopefully this is the last time I ever have to talk about it again. The reason why this happened is because of Chinese media laws and media expectations. So there are different PR firms that work with different users that are, you know, like for example, like I own a talent management company. I don't know if you guys know that, right? But I do, Mythic Talent. I'm an owner of Mythic Talent. So you take what, like I'm not talking about like the specifics of this, and I've also worked with contracts like this. I've been doing contracts like this for like 7 years. I've gone through probably 100 contracts like this. I've read them. Like, I know what it is. I'll tell you exactly what happened. Is that there were probably different PR firms that the marketing efforts were outsourced to, and some of them westernized the expectations for the Chinese version, and other ones didn't, and some of the ones that were not westernized got leaked, and then that one was shown. But the truth is that that was done only because the company that made the game was in China, and they had to ask those things because they didn't want to upset the government.
That's the reason why it happened. It had nothing to do with the actual values of game science. It had nothing to do with the values of the PR firm. It had nothing to do with the values of the game. It had everything to do with their country and the laws and the culture in their country. And if you didn't understand that, you haven't dealt with a lot of contracts like this. I have. That's how I know. So, and this is the problem, right? And like so, and you see like this. What's the word for it? It's like this like feeling of like superiority that people like this have, and they don't even know what they don't understand. That's what I'm saying, right? Like like skeletons in the game, exactly. There are really some things you can't do in China, exactly, right? But it doesn't mean some Western devs that principle shouldn't have any limitations imposed by an authoritarian government. They didn't. It was just not translated properly, and it wasn't communicated properly because it probably went through two different channels of communication. That's what really happened. It's not some massive global conspiracy about how China hates feminism or game science doesn't want people to talk about COVID. These are Chinese laws and expectations that just weren't translated properly to a Western content creator or a Western audience. That's it. That's literally it. It's not some complicated fucking conspiracy. Journalists can see all they want. However, if you are paid to do a job, you do the job as instructed. What company is going to pay you to talk about their game, to talk about unrelated things to the game that they are paying you to promote? In a lot of contracts, and I'll kind of break a little bit of the fourth wall here, and I'm not going to, obviously there's a lot of things I can't discuss, but very commonly in contracts, there are asks for you not to discuss divisive political topics while you're playing the game. This is an incredibly common expectation and ask for people to have. There's a lot of obviously reasons for that. There are some that make sense, some that don't make as much sense, right? It's basically like they want you to play the game. It's like also like not to talk negatively about it. Like a lot of games actually have it, don't compare this game to other games in like a negative light or a positive light. Don't say, oh, this is so much better than, I don't know, like Call of Duty is so much better than Fortnite or something like that. Like, don't say that. Be professional, basically. Yeah. And so there are a lot of instances where this is kind of expected. Now, for me, I think I break this rule every single time because I always compare the games because that's what I do. But this is in the contract language, and I think for extreme circumstances, there are obviously going to be conversations about that. It's a stupid rule. It is and it's not, right? But what I'm saying is that like rules like this are very common, and I can't show you guys a lot of it, but yeah. Disparaging agreements? Well, non-disparagement is, like in general, I think that I've never seen a contract where it says that you can't say anything bad about the game. But obviously contracts will say try to emphasize positive things about the game. Yeah, of course they're going to say that. Like, it's common sense. But yeah, I mean, you can pull back, like, I'll pull back the curtain on this a little bit, and like, yeah, of course this is the case. Like, I mean, it'd be common sense, yeah. Your job is what you're getting paid to play the game. Yeah, exactly. Don't start shit with our competitors. Yeah, exactly. Claim censorship, that's fine, but these demands are no different than the expectations of anyone else who has a job. Albeit these topics are a little bit more sensitive to China and specifically Black Myth Wukong, as the game has suffered at the hands of IGN and other outlets parroting misinformation about alleged sexism at Game Science. But they wouldn't understand that, would they? Because after all, they can't even do their own job. I mean, whoever's claiming there is a lack of diversity obviously never finished Chapter 3. Oh boy. I'm offended by this. After review of Black Myth Wukong soured by unconfirmed and mistranslated information, self-righteous, self-serving reviewers turned activists, docking review scores, attempting to push players away from this game, all in the name of their brand of justice. Tell me, here's also another really big issue. Like, now he's cooking. Game performance is unpolished. This is partially true. I've had issues where game performance was affected too. I think a lot of people have. But the problem, and this is the worst thing, is that legitimate feedback gets overwritten by stupid feedback. And now nobody's talking about actual issues or real feedback. It's all noise about something that's stupid. The odds are you're right that it probably could be just because of my CPU or I had ray tracing on, sure. But like, those slowdowns were like very, very annoying. And I never had that problem with other games either. Tell me, where is the justice in docking review scores due to the lack of inclusivity and diversity in an adaptation of one of the most respected novels in China's cultural history? Because it doesn't include your modern beliefs. Wanting to culturally appropriate a game made by a Chinese developer, adapted from a Chinese novel, is beyond disgusting and abhorrent. Well, these people, I mean, these people think the entire world revolves around them. That's the reason why. Gameplay becomes repetitive over time. I mean, it doesn't really. I mean, like, it's the same game. Like, you get new abilities and stuff like that. Yeah. It's just colonizers. Yeah, it's actually crazy how, like, these are the same people that'll, like, call white people colonizers or say how bad it is that what we did to, like, Native Americans, and then they go and they do it immediately to China. It's just, like, it's crazy because I hope you guys understand that, like, these people would be the people that would be, like, pushing against, like in a lot of cases, pushing for slavery back in the day. Everybody likes to think that, oh yeah, well, you know, I'd be the person helping the slaves escape through the Underground Railroad. Yeah, these people would be the police. You know, there was a game that came out earlier this year, Tales of Kenzera. This really cool Metroidvania game, very creative, that was made by an African developer with African characters. Yeah. None of them said anything about diversity then. The logic is never applied evenly because they don't believe in it. It's just a convenient vehicle to maintain relevance. It's 3:30. You know where your kid's snack is? It's there, and it's awesome. Cereal? It's the spot. I am beyond happy that Game Science never responded to any of these allegations because they had no responsibility to have to do so. Yes, there's no reason. This is the way that I think a lot of people should handle controversy. Is that you should handle controversy by just simply not addressing it because it doesn't matter. Nobody actually cares about controversy. It's just all bullshit. Yeah, just ignore it. Like, oh, but what about this one thing that happened with this guy? Shut up. Who cares? Yeah, just totally ignore it. Mr. Beast? Yeah, look at, like, I think Mr. Beast, honestly, deleting all the comments, you know, like, just basically ignoring it completely. Logan Paul has done this with multiple massive fuck-ups. And it just doesn't matter. Responsible game journalists? What authority do they hold? Yeah, none. When I look around the industry right now and I see players that are playing games that they're not liking anymore because the game's going in a direction that they don't want, I see games that are released that are failing, and studios that are closing, and people that are being laid off. I'm seeing a lot of games that are being influenced by people that have no real power. Countless weirdos that are trying to shape games the way that they want them. That's right, rather than what the market wants it to be. Fucking exactly. Ooh! So fucking exactly. Yep, there it is. Countless Road. Yep, exactly. There it is. Yep. I respect Game Science's choice here because they just focused on the game and putting the game out there. And at the end of the day, you let the market decide, not these people. I really hope that there are studios that are out there that take notice of this. There have been, and this is what's going to happen. And then there's also like another existential problem that studios have is that, like China, as far as I know, I mean, I'm not really like tuned in on their culture in the same way, But I don't think China views AI as like being like a moral evil, like generative AI as being a moral evil in the same way that I think Western people, like at least like some Western audiences try to push it as. So, like, another thing that's going to happen is that the reason they don't, I don't think that they do either, but and it seems that way to me, right, based especially on, like, you know, cultural parallels. But when video games can be generated with AI, and more content can be generated with AI in a way that is good enough for users, then this massively puts Western companies at a disadvantage. Because now it's like you have something that can generate the work of 10 people with one person. Well, how do you compete against that? You have to do it. That's how you compete against it. You have to do it. And I think that's another reason why people are worried about other studios from other parts of the world getting into it, because it totally puts their jobs at risk in an existential way through AI and other forms of generative automation. Realize that they're not responsible to these folks at all. They have no power over you. Make the game that you want to make. Pour everything you can into the game that you want to make. Release it out into the market and let the market decide if it's enough. You can't make everybody happy. It's impossible. And every time you try to do so, you're just going to make something that has no identity whatsoever. The big thing is that you can't make people that like to complain happy, because if they stop complaining, they lose power. So people that are complainers will never be happy, because if they are happy, then they lose their relevance. And it's not going to reach enough players. Concord is proof of that. It's exactly what happened with that game. It has no identity, it's been done before, it came out for $40, and players don't want it. They tried to stop the success of this game, but there was no stopping it. Well, there's no stopping the success of any of these games, right? I mean, the same thing happened with Pal World. I think Pal World had like the same types of like hate on it that like there were a bunch of like just totally unsubstantiated claims that Pal World was using generative AI. Like people were pushing this, like journalists were pushing this, like, oh yeah, it could be AI, or like Hogwarts Legacy. Yeah, this has happened a lot. And it's just that I think that if anything, what it's proved is that the market speaks for itself, and nobody speaks for the market. You can't speak for the market and tell people what they like and what they don't like. Now, as I mentioned previously, within days of the game launching, it had already hit 10 million copies sold, and on the day of its launch, it rose to 2.4 billion concurrent players on Steam. Now it's steadily sitting at over 1 million players as people have started to complete the game. A popular headline that ran for about a day was that the game had lost 2 million players within a short period of time. At 1400 UTC, the game was at its peak. At 2300 UTC, the game had lost millions of players. Some people have immediately started claiming that the game was being botted. However, this is a clear indication of how popular the game is in China, with many of those players helping Steam to break its all-time concurrent player count across the entire platform, as well as now being the second most played game under PUBG and dethroning Pal World. Now, there's an important story here that's not being discussed. If we look at the top 15 games all-time played on Steam, including free-to-play games, 7 of those games are widely single-player games, while 6 of them are live service, with 2 of them being Lost Ark and New World on live support. With as hard of a push as we've seen with live service games over the last few years, live service games are primarily being pushed to make money. That's the reason why people want to be able to continuously make money with a live service game, and I think that there are too many live service games in the, like, think of a live service game as like a T-Rex in like a dinosaur ecology. You can't have 50 T-Rexes and no Brontosaurus, or no Stegosaurus or Triceratops. You have to have all of the different animals because there's an ecosystem that they have to create. Everybody wants to be Fortnite, but you can't have everybody be Fortnite. There's not an economy for that. Whether it's live service or games adding adjacent features like in-game shops and battle passes to single-player games, we are seeing a massive shift from the side of the consumers towards single-player experiences,
And can you blame us? Yeah. Every time I see a new live service game release, I ask, what are you thinking? Players only have so much time and money, and when we are invested in other games, what makes you believe that we're going to come to play your game? Games I've actually really enjoyed a lot of live service games recently, and I actually really like live service games. Like, for example, I really like playing I like playing Once Human. I like playing The First Descendant. I'm not a live service hater. I'm actually, in fact, a live service enjoyer. I really do enjoy them, like same as Wuthering Waves, etc. You're rich, not like us. I mean, I don't know if I have to be rich to play Once Human. I mean, like, you just play the game. Like, you don't have to be rich to play that. Path of Exile? Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Zenless Sub-Zero? Yeah, but like, I don't really think, do you think that VR-type games are in decline? I think that VR games are in a stagnation period right now. I think the last time that VR was innovated was with Warzone. And like, Warzone was like the last innovation. I don't see... I feel like I think that now you're seeing users move towards VR as a dying genre. I actually think VR is a great... We're talking about something totally separate. It's a total tangent. Like, we can talk about this later. But either way, I'm saying, like, live service games, I love live service games, but there can only be so many in the economy of attention. This could have easily went and made a gacha game over Black Myth Wukong, but they didn't. Yeah. They ignored the trend in their country, and I think it was the right thing to do. And honestly, I think it was foresight more than anything else. Why do you think recently we've gotten games like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink or Stellar Blade? Both games made by developers that primarily make and run gacha live service games. I think this is fucking... MiHoYo needs to do this. Like, for how much fucking money they've had, fuck nuclear power, whatever you're trying to do. Make Sword Art Online and make it good. Yeah, like if anybody can do it, make solo leveling or make Sword Art Online. Choosing to instead go to make premium games. Yep, developers are waking up to the realization that there are so many players to sell to and not so much time and money they can invest in other games. Well, it's also that a lot of these games, like for example Stellar Blade or Grand Blue Fantasy, like I bet a lot of people played Relink and then they thought to themselves, maybe I'll try out the gacha game or the mobile game. Like these games also function as gateways into the gacha games too, and into playing other games as well. I did, yeah. Grand Blue Fantasy was amazing. Yeah, I mean I played that a lot. Sony's Concord, in contrast with Black Myth Wukong, is the perfect example of this. If you're going to release a live service game that costs $40 and brings nothing of value, you won't succeed. We're at a point of saturation in which you can no longer borrow time from players that are invested in other games. You have to make them quit playing other games to play yours. Exactly. This is a problem that I have. Like, I would... Right now, I simply don't have the time to play all the games that I want to play, given what's going on, and I probably have a lot more free time than a lot of you guys do, right? Like, especially any of you guys that have like kids. Like, I have way more free time than you do, guaranteed. And even for me, I don't have time. So like, there's a huge time economy, and I think that one other element of Black Myth Wukong that's good, and this is also Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, is that they respect the time economy. Like, there's not a million, like, little bullshit things you have to do. It's one of the reasons why I kind of drifted away from playing WoW a lot, is that WoW, I felt like did not respect my time that I was investing into the game. And I felt like in order to get, like, one minimal gain out of World of Warcraft, I could play an entirely new video game in that time. Or, you have to offer something that isn't a hit at their leisure. And this is where Black Myth Wukong and many other premium single-player experiences truly stand out. Unlike the countless live service games that are demanding our time and money for extended periods of time, these games offer a complete, self-contained experience, a premium single-player game that respects our time. And this is another really big component, is that the respecting of time and the FOMO that a lot of the live service games have functions as a double-edged sword. Like, for example, if MiHoYo said they were going to re-release Genshin Impact, or like if they were going to make Genshin Impact 2, I would be playing Genshin Impact 2 on release no matter what. But the reason, one of the things that's like a barrier to entry for me playing Genshin Impact,
is that I know that like there's probably 100 characters in that game that I'll never have. And like even with Star Rail, like I know that like for example I came back, Acheron was really good, and apparently Acheron like synergizes well with I think Black Swan and Sparkle that I don't have. And why is that? Well, it's because I didn't play the game at that time. So it's like now the FOMO actually acts as a barrier to entry. Do you see kind of how that happens? So like the FOMO keeps people engaged, it keeps people in, and it also keeps people out. Sparkle rerun right now? No, I'm just saying in general, right? And like that's why, and also like as the gacha games come out, it's like how many of these characters are you gonna get? Like playing games like this, it's like it's a huge money investment or time investment to keep doing it, and it's like at a certain point you ask yourself like, why am I really doing this? Like I'm trying to think of like a great live service game in my opinion. This is just again another fucking classic Andy take is World of Warcraft Classic. Because it is a fixed game basically, and you can pick up where you left off. I think a big problem with a lot of live service games is that they're built around some sort of power creep or power progression that if a player stops playing, they are like way farther behind than where they initially were. Yeah, it's like FOMO, like OSRS, yeah. Our money. It's a game designed to be enjoyed, not endured. And that's something that resonates deeply with players who are growing increasingly disillusioned with the constant grind and monetization schemes that have come to define modern gaming so much. What Black Myth Wukong and similar titles prove is that there is a vast market for games that are focused on delivering a polished experience without reoccurring payments or perpetual engagement. These games remind us of the heart of gaming isn't the endless updates and battle passes, but it's the stories we tell, the worlds we explore, and the characters that we come to care about. In a way, Black Myth Wukong isn't just a commercial success, it's a statement. It's a declaration that players are ready for something different, something that offers more depth and quality. It's not that players are ready for it, players have always wanted this. If a game like this, Black Myth Wukong, came out 10 years ago, it would be popular. If it came out 10 years from now, it would be popular. People like good, timeless experiences are universal. Like, that's it. Quantity and gimmicks. It's a challenge to the industry, daring developers to rethink their strategies and remember why players fell in love with gaming in the first place. I can't play more than 1 or 2 live service games, and I do this for a living. I just recently started playing Warframe, and I haven't even been able to find the time to go and play Final Fantasy XIV and complete its latest expansion. Look, I'll be honest with you guys, it's too much, but I'm not rich. I don't have a lot of money doing this. I made more money in construction than I do making YouTube videos, but I do love doing this, and I do think that a lot of people are probably a lot like me, and they just can't afford to be invested in that many games. I think that's another thing, being invested into a game, and like there's a lot of games where you have to like buy battle passes. So it's like if you have to buy a $20 battle pass, and the battle pass is designed in order for the game to feel like a good experience, and you don't have the money for that, well, you're probably just not going to play the game. It's just like I feel like we're in. It's like just an economy of attention. Like that's all there is to it. It's an economy of attention, and there are just too many. There are too many. I don't know, like large predators in the economy. You need more small animals, more little games. You can't have everybody trying to be the T-Rex. Everybody can't be the tiger. No matter what you say, free-to-play or not, you're going to end up spending money on it. And putting yourself in a realm where you know you're going to be tempted to spend money, you just can't afford to because you have other things that you're responsible for or other things that you'd rather spend the money on entirely. And it's crazy that game studios have not come to the realization of this. And the more of these games that are out in the wild, the less likely you are to be able to capture an audience because players just can't move that freely. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. We don't have that kind of money, nor do we have that kind of time. And unless you're going to do something to be able to kill another game, that's really the only way that you're going to find success. And this is why people are like so defensive about gacha games, is that they don't, and this just happened. It literally just happened with Blue Protocol. We actually had a game, bro, this game didn't buy, it got aborted. Like, it didn't even come out in the West. Because the Japanese reception was so bad, Bandai Namco pulled the plug. And I think they made the right call. They did. Like, as somebody who played the game, I watched the gameplay, I saw some videos about it. You did. You made the right call on this game. And it happens, and now, well, what about all the people that invested money and time in the Blue Protocol? What happens?
Get an extra large New York style pizza for just $9.99. Only at Papa John's.
3 words. Team driver reports.
So, what are we thinking? Buy the dip? Get rich? Let's dig a little first. Dig, it's Meat Food, a meat-based tofu company. Exactly.
It's all vaporized into atoms, disappeared, down the drain, poof, that's it. And it's crazy to me that they also haven't realized how much more predictable the success for a single-player game is, a premium single-player game is, over a live service game. We see countless live service games fail, but single-player games, especially ones that are coming from AAA studios, still usually have their return on investment, as long as the people that are running the studio are smart enough to hire the right amount of people and make sure they're not spending too much money before releasing the game. But, that's a different story for another video. I do think that there's something else to say with this as well, especially looking with how popular this game is in China. Because we really don't see that with Western games. The themes for Western games don't really translate to the East as well. That's pretty much across the board. It's almost every game that's out there. Things are always really popular in the West, but they don't necessarily translate to the East. PUBG Mobile is super popular in China. I could say that as like one counterpoint, but I think in a general sense, I think that what he's saying is true. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's... I think it becomes increasingly more true the more narratively driven a game is, that it probably would not resonate as much in like Eastern culture as it would here. PUBG is an Eastern game. PUBG is from Korea. It's a Korean game. I thought it was an American game. It's a Korean game. I thought PlayerUnknown's was like an American. I thought it was an American game. Yeah, okay. Well, then there we go. Average American Tech? Yeah, I didn't know that. The studio is Korean? Okay. PUBG is from the same dev as Terra and Ilion? I remember Terra was really popular. I don't know whatever happened with that. But yeah, okay, I guess that's not a good example. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's good to know. But yeah, either way, I think especially if things become more narratively driven, it's harder for them to be able to relate to it. But the thing is that this game had no problem crossing the border the other way. Yeah. And I think there's a reason for that. The wild popularity of a game like Black Myth Wukong speaks volumes about the current state of the gaming industry, particularly the fatigue that many players have started to feel towards repetitive themes that have dominated Western games for years. While Western developers have traditionally leaned heavily on familiar tropes, be it rehashed mythology, Greek or Norse, endless zombie apocalypses, military shooters, or the well-trodden paths of fantasy and sci-fi, Black Myth Wukong is refreshingly different. I actually don't think the tropes are the problem. I think that people would have no problem replaying some sort of like Greek mythology game or something like that every year as long as it played well. I think this is like icing on the top where it's like a new mythology, but that's not really the reason. Same with like competitive like arena military shooters. People love that shit. Like Counter-Strike is basically the chess of esports. I think it's because it's so easily understandable. It's a rich tapestry of Chinese culture, mythology, and history that many Western players haven't encountered before. And if we have, oftentimes it's been through the lens of another country's perception of Chinese culture, providing a novel experience in a land that often feels stagnant. One of the key reasons why Black Myth Wukong resonates so strongly is precisely because it taps into a cultural and mythological framework that is largely unexplored in Western games.
because we see so few Chinese releases.
I think he brings up a really good point here. I think this is definitely true. That when you see games that are like covering a topic, like a game built off of like Indian mythology or some type of new mythology, is much more interesting to me because I haven't seen it 50 other times. Like I'd have no problem playing a Norse mythology game every year. That's fine. But this does add to a certain level of like escapism because I'm not as familiar with it.
Quality. The story of Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, and his adventures through the journey to the West are legendary in Chinese culture, but are relatively unknown to Western gamers outside of knowing it loosely inspired Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
This unfamiliarity adds a lot of
intrigue and excitement that Western audiences are eager to explore.
The game presents a world filled with strange and fantastical creatures, ancient legends, and philosophy themes that stand in stark contrast to the normal fanfare that we see from Western studios. Earlier in this video, I discussed the variety of enemies and bosses. The reason they can offer that kind of staggering variety is because there are so few of those designs that are used in other games. I need you guys to understand.
This is also because they put a lot of work into it. I think that's the reason. It's not because there weren't other games that have that. Like, there's tons of games that have tons of variety. It's just that some of them are just fucking lazy. Like, for example, like, First Descendant, there's no reason why, like 2 or 3
bosses are basically just reskins
each other. Like, it doesn't need to be like that. They're just being lazy.
Is crucial. After years, decades of playing through the same iterations of the same concepts, whether it's the military agenda set in a vaguely Middle Eastern conflict, another dark fantasy, gritty, post-apocalyptic world run by zombies, those are the ones for yet another fantasy epic that borrows heavily from Tolkien. Players are hungry for something new. Black Myth provides a window into a different cultural worldview. One that feels fresh and invigorating compared to the often formulaic approaches that we've seen in Western games. The aesthetics of Chinese architecture, the fluidity and grace of martial arts, the intricate designs of mythical creatures. I can't tell you guys how many times I lost and had issues fighting certain bosses that used martial arts because none of it was familiar to me. The mechanics were not familiar to me. I'd never seen them in a game before. These elements combine to create a game that feels both exotic and authentic. It's a world that invites me to not only engage,
I think it provides like an extra level of escapism for Western audiences because they're experiencing something for the first time. So like, you know, you're very used to seeing certain different tropes and certain different things play out. Whereas like, and I think that's why something like Elden Ring was also really popular, is because it just had like a level of escapism to it that was like very unpredictable.
A different type of storytelling, but immerse myself into a cultural experience that is vastly different than what I'm used to.
Yeah.
In an industry where innovation often feels constrained by what's familiar and safe, Black Myth Wukong shows that there is a huge appetite for stories and settings that break the mold. It's a reminder that gaming, as a global medium, has the power to transcend cultural boundaries and introduce players to perspectives, ideas, and experiences that they otherwise.
One of the things that I've always thought was like really kind of weird is that, like, I feel like gaming has done more for like multiculturalism and has like downgraded a lot of like I think xenophobia people have had in like a way that I think almost nothing else has. Because like you're just playing a game from China. Yeah, these guys that made the game are in China. Yeah, we like the game. Or like you're playing with people that live in another country, and you get along and everything's fine. And it's not forced. It's not weird. It's just how it is. TikTok did too. Yeah, social media did a lot for it. People always talk about the positives and the negatives, but they don't talk about the positives.
Wouldn't have. As the game industry has grown into the largest entertainment industry in the world, it has attracted investors and CEOs who are demanding safety, security, and consistency. And as a response to this, many of these studios have become stale. Many themes have become stale because it's safer to do what worked in the past. Whether it's a live service.
What I think is kind of funny about that is that the safeness is actually becoming a weakness. It's like people are playing it so safe that they end up alienating the original audience and people don't like it, and the game doesn't feel exciting. So it's like they try to appeal to being safe, and then they achieve the opposite effect.
Or repeated themes or entitled journalists Black Myth Wukong is a wake up call proxy. Yeah, everyone worked before works no more. I really do think that this game shows that there is a general interest, a general need for something different. And I think Baldur's Gate 3 was one of the first signs of that. Yeah. The industry had already made the assumption that turn-based games could never reach wider audiences. A game like that could never was fast. Yeah, look what it did. And I think that we're just kind of rolling around in a sea of mediocrity, completely devoid of creativity. And games, I think that if you look at it from a AAA perspective, like if you only get gaming news from television commercials, you probably hate video games. But like just today, we had games like Core Keeper, and there was like that other game that we were talking about. I forgot even which one it was. Like there's a lot of other games that have come out that have been super great. But it's just that these games aren't these AAA games. Forever, that was the other one. Yeah, coming out, it was like September, like I don't know, 15th, 9th, was not 11th. I remember what day it was, 24th, yeah, there we go. So I feel like there's a lot of these new games that are coming out that are great. So I feel like the problem really is just inside of AAA games. I think it's that these AAA gaming studios are investing so much money into these games, they feel the need to dilute the appeal to the game, the appeal of the game, to appeal to like a target audience of everyone, and in doing so, they end up making a game that doesn't appeal to any group of people, and people just don't care about it, and they don't buy the game. And I think that also it's reflected in the price of these games. A lot of these games are very expensive, and a lot of the things that cost a lot of money, like for example, like facial motion control. These are nice things to have, but is this going to make a person play a video game? It's really not. And so there's like a fixation on things that are not important to an audience. Like Black Myth or Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate 3 are those moments where we get to come up for fresh air and we get reminded of what games can be. What we can realistically expect for the prices that we're spending on some of these games. It's not to say that every single game that comes out should be an absolute massive hit, huge banger, but that's kind of the expectation that we have, that you're at least trying to hit that mark. But if you want people to pay $70 for a game, it has to be a good game. Like, you can't ask somebody to pay $70 for a fucking video game, and it's fucked up on release. Like, that's it. I mean, like, what are we talking about? Doesn't feel like that with any of the games that you release, especially for the prices that they're trying to charge. Black Myth really does feel fresh, like genuinely feels fresh. I can't tell you how many times I had problems fighting certain bosses just because I never recognized any of the attack patterns before. It threw me for a loop. It felt like I was playing Dark Souls, or the one boss that really got me there is the guy with the arms tied behind his back, the non-able or whatever. That guy's mechanics really got me fucked up. Like, he was one of the only bosses that it's like, usually, like, I'll try to beat the boss by learning its mechanics and overcoming its mechanics. That guy, I died to him, and I'm like, okay, now I'm in uncharted territory. I don't know what these fucking moves are. Let's just call in the boys and win this fight. Like, you know, we gotta keep the ball rolling here. Like, I can't beat this dude. Yeah, I did. I died to the non-able. I did. He killed me. He was strangely hard. Well, he was a great fight. But it was just like the way that he was moving was something that I wasn't used to replying to. Then Ring on fast forward, yes, you know, that it's not a Souls-like game. But that said, you can't tell me like those bosses don't feel like it. Because, man, that big-headed baby. We need to talk about that big-headed baby. Right in the first act. I thought that was the first boss. I took like 2 or 3 hours to kill that thing. And when I did, I was so happy. And then I moved on, and then I found the real first boss, which is the one that gives you the transformation. And see, this is what happened. So, like, the same thing happened to me, where, like, so apparently when Emmy was playing through the game, people kept telling her that I beat that boss in 2 attempts. And she was getting mad because she couldn't beat the boss. The funny fucking thing is that the same thing happened to me. Somebody told me that Duke Dennis beat the boss in like 2 attempts, and I was like, there's no way.
There's like, what do you mean? Like, and they're telling me other people beat the boss. He did. Yeah, I was like, he did though? Did he actually? No, did he actually beat the boss in 2 attempts? I was like, because I didn't know the guy was. I watched him play a little bit of Elden Ring. I didn't know he was a gamer like that. And I was sitting there like, am I fucking garbage? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, yeah. Shot down him in 3 attempts. Dude, it took me a while. It did. It took me a bit. Shroud beat him first try. That's the thing. Is people would say like, oh, Shroud already cleared this, or oh, yeah, like this guy already beat it. And it's like, usually it's not even true, but it would make me mad. I'm like, there's no way they're getting ahead of me. Would have had that transformation. It would have made that fight. I guess so easier. I would have beaten it way earlier than what I did. But I mean, with that said, the rest of the game felt a lot more easier after that. But it's just been so refreshing. It really has. I initially went to stream the game because I like streaming games, right? I like to have folks watch, but it's one of those games. And I feel like there's a lot of them that are out there that are like this, where I don't really want to have an audience for it because I just wanted to sit back and experience it. Because if you treat it like one of those kind of games, it really is an experience. There are so many times that I just got lost looking at some of the statues, how highly detailed they were, how completely different they were no matter where you went, which is crazy in a game like that, especially when you would think that they would reuse a lot of assets, and they don't. There's so much originality and artistry on display in this game, it's staggering, unreal. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video, was not only just to appreciate the game for what it is, but also to push back against a lot of the narratives that are out there around it. Because they just don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate it because they didn't bend to what these Western journalists wanted them to say. And it's ridiculous. We created a narrative about you. Please talk us off the cliff that we put you on. Please explain. Please. We are now judging you. We've decided that now you're being tried for these crimes. How do you respond? We don't? Oh, well, wait, what? What do you mean you don't respond? And it's really disappointing as a consumer because these are the people that are trying to be tastemakers. I lose my voice. I've talked a lot. Continually for a very long time, lose my voice now. It's disappointing as a consumer because the thing is that it's just going to show that you really can't trust anyone other than yourself. You can't. If you want to know whether a game is good or not, watch somebody play it on stream or watch a YouTube video of it. That's what I do. Very fucking simple. Can't read what they say because obviously going to be steeped in criticisms that are so biased. Find a creator, like if you guys like what I like, read some of these watch me, watch him, the way that they would try to paint this. Tons of people kind of picture that they've been trying to paint it in. It really is sad. Irrelevance is burning up faster than I can make videos on it. It sure is. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I absolutely enjoy making videos like this. These are my favorite videos to make. I think you guys will that by now. Many of you have actually subscribed because of the wake-up call videos. I keep calling. They don't pick up the phone. I wonder what. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to share this video. Give it a like. Drop a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this. And catch me live on Twitch if you guys want to hear me talk about gaming news and whatever else. Outside of that, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe, my friends. I'll catch you next time. I think that he brought up a lot of really good points, especially about how like a lot of it is it's like an existential threat of having developers that are from places in the world that aren't accountable to your version of like looking at the world.
for. That is the power of this hobby. That is what it can accomplish at times, but we're losing sight of that. I think this all loops back to the fact that game science did not bend the knee in fealty to games media when they started hurling accusations at them, baseless accusations at them, and demanded an answer.
And this is basically what games media does, and this is what media in general does, is that they make up lies about you, and then they try to force you to correct their lies, which then creates a power structure around necessitating their existence, and you are reinforcing that power structure. And the reason why games media specifically hated Black Myth Wukong is because Black Myth Wukong refused to play into that power dynamic. Whenever they asked questions about, any of these accusations, they just said, we're here to talk about the game and that's it. And so what that does is it effectively completely removes what their power play is in the relationship. Didn't bend the knee? Yeah, exactly. Do you think it's some wounded pride that people feel? No, I think that you always have anti-China sentiment, but I don't think that that's really the causal factor for why people are talking about this game in this way. They retaliate by slandering the game? Well, it's not just that. It's basically like they label the game as bad, and then the labeling of the game as bad creates a presupposition that you have to correct their bad labeling. But correcting their bad labeling creates also the implicit understanding that that label matters and what they're saying matters. So the only way that you can win is by not playing the game. You just simply do not engage with that type of behavior. They use smear tactics? They do, and it's shame tactics, exactly. Said no comment. That has nothing to do with the game or anything else right now, and they didn't feel that it was in good faith, and they just ignored it entirely. And I think that games media as a whole took offense to that. They didn't like that too much. They don't like it when their power and position is questioned, when their authority, or of course, little they have left of it, is questioned. This should be a game that we should be celebrating because of the fact that it broke down cultural boundaries. Beyond that, it was a game that was absolutely gorgeous. It was coming from a studio that this is the first game that they were releasing. It came out relatively polished, fresh-feeling combat, boss encounters that we've never even seen before, with attack stylings we haven't seen, environments we've never been in, an atmosphere that was absolutely fantastic. They went out and they scanned real-life statues and some architecture to try to make sure that the game had the most authentic rendition possible, and they delivered on it. The game was absolutely incredible. The stop-motion animations, the anime cutscenes, and a bunch of different style of art. It was great. It was such a good game. But all of that isn't being discussed. Instead, it's all locked behind social politics. Black Myth Wukong was nothing short of a revelation for me. The game was a breath of fresh air in a world that is drowning in microtransactions, and I was so happy playing this game because the game was, I felt like I was playing Elden Ring whenever I was playing this game because of how big it was, and I could just log on and stream every day, and I would be looking forward to being able to play it again. Live service models. Much like Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring, it was just a straightforward video game that focused on delivering a great experience without the baggage of modern gaming trends. Selling it at a fair price really made it shine as a prime example of what players have been craving, a complete, immersive experience that doesn't feel like it's constantly trying to upsell you. Like I said before, honestly, it's just a damn good video game. It's crazy that nobody's even talking about the fact that it doesn't have any microtransactions, and it was a feature-complete game on release. There wasn't some big issue with the game or something like that. I'm sure some people had performance issues, same as they do with every game. But for the most part, it was pretty much completely done. Not a professional reviewer, but playing Black Myth Wukong was an awe-inspiring journey for me that I can't stop thinking about. From the moment that I started, I was blown away by its visuals, its gameplay, its music. Every single boss fight felt exhilarating, and I found myself savoring every single moment rather than trying to just rush and finish the game. It's a game that didn't just entertain, it resonated on a deeper level, reminding me why I fell in love with video games in the first place. Now, that's one of the things, too, is that I think that the game feels like a video game.
And a lot of games nowadays don't feel like old video games. Like, I think you compare, like, if you look at Black Myth Wukong, if you look at Space Marine 2, or if you look at Metaphor ReFantazio, you can see that the level of quality with that game and the level of, like, immersion and the level of escapism that game has is something you just don't get whenever you play a game like Concord or with Dragon Age. Said, the other games that are out there are genuine contenders. I don't want this video to come off like Black Myth Wukong should be the only game of the year. No other game deserves it. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was absolutely phenomenal. While I know that there's some people out there that think the game doesn't deserve a spot because it's a remake, it's not. It's a full-on reimagining the combat, the storytelling, how events play out, the music, the atmosphere. All of it makes for a game that's deserving of the crown. Helldivers 2, despite its controversies, was for all intents and purposes the game to beat this year. It sold tens of millions of copies. It felt like a trip back to the old days of Halo 2 and Halo 3 post-launch, where friends are asking when you're going to get on, you're staying up way too late playing the game, and all you could do was think about what was going to happen in the game next. I just recently started playing Metaphor ReFantazio, and I'll be honest with you guys, it's likely this year's Game of the Year. It makes huge improvements in turn-based games, it has music that has no right being as good as it is, the set pieces and art direction go from breathtaking to nightmare-inducing, and it has character writing and stories that show quality, care, and the authenticity that players have been complaining for years that game studios can't touch. How the fuck do you lose to this fight? This guy was a joke. Like, this shit was so easy. How'd you dying on this? Hand-fisting those themes in. It is the perfect example of how to do topics like diversity and inclusivity the right way. Yeah. I just want to emphasize that this isn't about one game deserving a title over another. Every title mentioned has its own merits and fan bases, and they're all worthy of recognition in their own right. Black Myth Wukong, however, stands out for its originality and its cultural significance, but also for how this game has been mishandled by the media. It's a testament to how hard game science worked on their game and the fresh perspective that they bring. After all, that's what games should be about, creating experiences that are resonating and bringing us together, not just the ones that fit into a narrow definition of success that is made up by a handful of writers. You know, I'm starting to have people that, like, are not representative at all of what gamers actually want. To realize that access journalism doesn't work in both ways. You know, because they want to make sure that they're trying to stay in line, that they're doing their best to be able to hold on to their contacts, their insider information, get their keys, their codes, and make sure that they can hold on to their jobs and their relevance. But on the other end, when it comes to some of these smaller studios and publishers, they desperately need the help of games media to be able to be noticed, get in front of the eyes of players in the first place. Get their trailers out there, articles written and things like that. You don't need to do that anymore. All you need to do, if you have a really good game, is you post it on my subreddit, and then, if it's good, I'll watch the trailer, it'll get upvoted, and then I'll put out a clip or a video of the game, and it will get more engagement and more views than all of these games websites put together. Problem solved. Don't worry about it. Get them in the algorithms and whatnot. And I think that some of the journalists that are out there view that as an opportunity for them to throw their weight around. That's where they get to have the voice time. They get to push everybody else around and tell them the way that it's going to be. And I think that Black Myth Wukong stood in opposition to that, and they didn't like it too much. And I might not be all of them. I'm not going to say it's every single one of them. There's some damn good journalists that are still out there. I know you guys are probably shaking your heads. No, there's no way. Believe me, they exist. I have a few of them that are out there that are some of my favorites. But with that said, I think that's the case here for Black Myth Wukong. You know, it's not about sales and it's not about scores, it's about fairness and image. And I just do not think, they're not fair. They're not fair, they're biased, and everybody can see it. And trying to patronize the people that are recognizing this and like make them feel stupid for seeing what's very obviously in plain sight, it's just not going to work. like under any circumstances, the Black Myth Wukong was painted in the same colors as some of the other games that we've seen this year. Even games that had controversy. Palworld, I mean, again, Dragon Age the Veilguard rated higher than Black Myth Wukong. If that's not evidence of a bias, I don't know what it is. It is very, very clearly a bias. Fucking joke, Kate, that's why. Yeah, no, I'm literally being serious. And got Space Marine 2 got the same rating as Concord. How does that happen? Shredded by Games Media, they hated that game even though the players liked it. But even still then, I don't feel like the game got dogged on this hard. Going back, Helldivers 2, they went through their entire controversy. Games Media didn't even want to touch it. They didn't want to talk about it. They just brought it up slightly and then walked away from it. Just let the game. I think that I'm going to come out with a conspiracy take here, but it seems like the way that people and games journalists cover Sony games is more biased, and I'm concerned that there could be some access journalism that's happening in the background that I'm not aware of. Because I've seen a lot of instances where different journalists and different people that are involved in games have had relationships and they've used words that are extremely soft on Sony products. And I just feel like, again, if there's enough points on a graph, you can't blame me for drawing a line. I'm not saying that there's something bad out there that's happening, but it sure seems kind of interesting. Gamers be mad. I think the reason why is because they just didn't see it from our perspective. They didn't care to see it from our perspective. Which then brings me around to this idea that when it comes to a game like Black Myth Wukong, or even maybe you guys bring up a good point about Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade is a point against what I'm saying. Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's important to keep that in mind. I'm not right about this 100% of the time, but it's enough for me to be concerned. Like Space Marine 2, probably less so on that one. I think that there are some writers and journalists that are out there that see that these games are being used in a culture war, that they are diametrically opposed to whatever the side of that culture war is, and they do not want to give them a win under any circumstances. Yes, that does affect value at the end of the day. They don't want to hand that over to them. They know that they're going to use it as ammunition against them, and they're never going to hear the end of it. And as a result, all points get docked, the image of the game gets smeared, and this is the result that you get. I don't know if that's going to be the end result of all of this, but looks like it is. Well, the end result of all of this is that these companies will go the way of Kotaku. Kotaku has had to do multiple layoffs. They're pretty much laying off everybody. And they're basically speed-running their own careers. Eventually, there won't be any more games media outside of maybe a handful of YouTube channels, etc. And the ones that still remain will probably only remain because they're being kept on life support by their better components on YouTube. And the reason for that, by the way, is because they're spreading misinformation, and what they're saying isn't accurate towards the perspective of a lot of people. That's the reason why. It's not like they're dying. I think that this is a natural outcome of the market, but I think that they are accelerating that outcome with their behavior. One thing the reviewer, the writer, did get right, there's a lot of games to be vying for a spot as Game of the Year this year. Crazy. A lot of games are. We've had some awesome games released. And there's still more that are right around the corner. Stalker 2 is, I think, next month. We just had Call of Duty. Black Ops 6 just came out recently. That game got reviewed really well. It did really well. The players seem to really like it. Yeah, crazy for a Call of Duty game, but I mean, stranger things have happened. So, who knows? Maybe there's something else that's sleeping in the wings that we don't know that's going to come out and get a bunch of 10s and 9s. I hope so. Anyway, I really thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to share the video with your friends. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below what game you think is going to be Game of the Year, or what game you want to be Game of the Year. And outside of that, my friends, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Make sure to catch me in the next video. Catch me live on Twitch, and I'll check you guys next time.
funny to me about this is that how is it that it's check out War Thunder using my link in the pinned comment or description below. New vehicle playback games update and bonuses for new and returning players. It's the best time to play the game. Thanks again to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Of course. Now, just a minute. Let me go ahead and look at this here. I think that it's very obvious that they worked in unison to try to delegitimize Black Myth Wukong. I do. I feel like it is a conspiracy. It's like, I'm the kind of person, like, I try to be as much of a logical person as possible. And when I look at how things occurred, and like what the pattern of behavior was, why? The reason why is because of the way that every single game review talked about points that were the same, but that were all wrong. So, like, here's a really good way to tell whether a story is accurate, and also here's another good way to tell whether a story is shared between multiple people. It's, you look at individual details, and you see how many of them line up, and how many of them don't line up. And so, like, in order to tell, like, whether somebody is telling the truth or lying about something, or whether people are working together with something, if you look at certain types of language and certain phrases that are used and certain points that are made, and if you see these things happening over and over and over, in a lot of cases, that probably indicates that there is some degree of collusion or some degree of bad behavior that's going on in the background that you might not know. So it's probably more simply plagiarism? No, and I think that you make a great point with plagiarism if people are using the example of Return to Form with Dragon Age Veilguard. I don't think that that's enough, but what I'm talking about are entire sections and focuses about, like, for example, you know, like the not having women in Black Myth Wukong. Like, this is referenced in, like, a bunch of different reviews, and it's not something that seemingly anybody cares about outside of the reviewers. And I think also the accusations that were completely baseless, that were made against the studio that made Black Myth Wukong being referenced by other video game companies, or publishers, or journalist companies. And this is the way that they create power. Is that one of them makes a lie up, and then the other ones reference the lie, and then other people reference the reference, and then the lie becomes codified into fact. That's how people do a journalism nowadays. And I think it's a huge problem. And yeah, I do genuinely think that it's I think it is a conspiracy. I actually do. Like, I try to be a logical person. I try to be a reasonable person. And I look at how this happened and the order of events, and there's no way that I cannot come to that conclusion. So yes, I think it is. It's that simple. Welcome to today's media journalism, all of it. Yeah, and you can look at the way that they treated Hogwarts Legacy, you can look at the way that they treated Stellar Blade, you can look at the way they treated Concord, and you look at the way they treated Dragon Age Veilguard. All of these things point to the same direction, and I'm the crazy one for noticing it. Nope, not gonna happen. I see it, you see it, everybody sees it, and we're sick of being told that we don't. So that's what I think. Great fucking video. I love this fucking video. This is amazing.
George and Junior need to replace their brakes, and an AutoZoner helps them find a deal on the right parts. Don't miss the end of summer sale with great deals and rewards. Now until September 22nd.
Real strength isn't pushing through pain, it's treating it. When there's no pain, there's more gain. Advil targets pain caused by inflammation for fast, strong relief. Advil, that's real strength.
So, PoE, oh boy. We had some real clown shit going on in this game. Oh my god. I cannot believe how ridiculous this situation has been. I cannot believe it. Oh boy, alright, so Path of Exile 2, the reviews are in. Good news is they're looking quite positive with early impressions, confirming our suspicion that this could be the best ARPG of all time. Bad news, though, is that not everyone's happy review codes even exist, let alone that there are people out there already playing. People are mad about review. Who the fuck gets mad about review codes? Entire game. So I know what it is. They probably think that they can that they're playing the game early on the same server, so they're going to have like an economic advantage. No, they're completely separate servers. Talk about it. Earlier today, the first Path of Exile 2 review was released. People might not know that YouTuber Extra Life. In the 15-minute video, he said quite a few interesting things about the game. Here are some of the highlights. He refers to PoE 2 as the quote Dark Souls of ARPG. He's right. It's a meme, but he is in fact right. We're never escaping this, right? Yes, Souls will be with us forever. Now, that's right. Here, he was referring to the fact that the game is quite challenging. No, you can. The reason why it's like Dark Souls is because you can roll in the game. If a game has rolling, it's a Souls-like. No difficulty options to pick from, and even playing through the campaign as it was. Yeah, you saw Diablo was a Diablo-like. It's actually a Souls there that he found quite rewarding to overcome, and that the game gave him a similar feeling in terms of its difficulty to the likes of Dark Souls or Elden Ring. He said that the I do really like. I decided that I am not going to pick my class. On the release of PoE 2, I am going to allow chat to decide whether I start with the Witch or the Wall. I'm going to let you guys decide. Because I can't trust myself to make the decision. Minion Cup? Well, no, you guys can decide. You know? Are you sure? I am, because I'm going to play both of them. And also, I want to say that I'm going to fill out the paperwork for getting partnered tonight. So I can hopefully get the 2 pet thing for, like, and the Twitch drops and everything for the release of PoE 2. You said that last night? Yeah, I said I'd do it either tonight or tomorrow, but I'm going to do it tonight. Last night I had like a meeting with my moderators. This is actually, I'll talk about that later. Anyway, yes. I'm going to play one or the other. Are large, estimating it takes a full hour to go from side to side. That sounds crazy, but we'll see. He also mentions that there was just a great sense of discovery while playing, be it discovering new lore, unlocking new mechanics, finding new enemies and areas, etc. Now, one quote that I absolutely love. This is one thing that I really hope that they have in the campaign. One thing I really love about games is when they have a really hard boss that you're supposed to go back to and fight, but if you're a very skilled player, you can beat them early. Genichiro, even though it's like not really like that in Sekiro. Then you also have things like, I think the best example is Teresa in Elden Ring. That with the amount and variety of content, it feels like 3 games rolled into one. Love to see it. The campaign, he estimates, was about 35 to 40 hours. After Elden Ring, of course, loads of endgame. And he mentioned feeling like he just scratched the tiniest surface of what's on offer after spending 40 hours with it. Potentially saying that this could be the all-time king of the genre. He also mentioned that it feels like there are limitless combinations of builds, that respecing is much easier than it has been in the past. He thought the dark theme and overall art direction was outstanding and clearly inspired by Diablo 2. He felt it was the most dynamic. I'm actually curious, and this is kind of an open question, and I was looking at that path of, the build path. Do you guys think that you should be able to import, a code that should allow you to, copy somebody's build if the person provides it? Because I feel like maybe that'd be good to get more casual players into the game. You can't do that? Yeah, that'd be neat. Yeah, maybe I should maybe send that to them. Yeah, because I think that could be one of the things that can bridge the gap between hardcore players and casual players. Because the biggest challenge that I think PoE2 has is how to keep Elon Musk playing the game when he's really busy. Or how to keep anybody who has a bunch of kids and a wife and a family, right? How can I keep them engaged? That's the real challenge. Obviously, for us, elite gamer wizards, unemployed or maybe playing video games at work all day,
it's not going to be a big deal, right? We're going to love this game. But like getting that casual audience, man. And like you're seeing, like for example, like Monster Hunter and Elden Ring did the same thing. Like Wilds is doing the same thing, and Elden Ring did the same thing to like grow the audience of the game by like a 3x. And I think PoE 2 should do that. People just copy a guide, rather just play or make a template build to really help casuals. Yeah, I actually might send that to GGG.
Combat in any ARPG he's ever played, and Textural has played quite a few. He also talked about things like the details on the skill effects.
You know what that's what's crazy? Is that I probably won't even have to tell them, because I've had people from GGG message me because they watched my videos talking about the game. They probably might have already seen this by the time I message them. Yeah. Like, they pay a lot of close attention to feedback. Genuine, real feedback.
Designs being some of the best he's seen in the industry. He was blown away by the amount of detail. He did play on controller for a bit and said that it feels like the game was designed for controller first. Interesting, saying that it plays even better than Diablo 4 did on a controller. Now, there were some negatives mentioned, including the fact that he saw some bugs and got crashes during the review process, and also that maps felt a little empty in terms of the amount and frequency of events. Now, that said, he wrapped it all up by saying that he strongly believes PoE 2 will cement the studio as one of the all-time greats among the likes of FromSoft or Larian. Now, I would argue that GGG is already there, just with PoE 1, but that's...
I think they are, and it's just that, like, Larian had such a breakout success with Baldur's Gate 3. It's going to be really hard. I don't think PoE can meet that success, because in a weird, ironic way, I actually think turn-based makes the game way more accessible. But I think that they can be like one of those studios, because like it's like a studio is like it's like one game, right? They're making one game, but this is I think it will be transcendent.
That's the point. And you know what? All of this sounds great to me. I am so happy to hear that the game is turning out nicely. So what exactly is the problem then? Well, there's two main things happening here. One is that the review was posted way prior to embargo, apparently nearly a week before it was supposed to come out. And number two is that everyone was under the impression that there would be no early access prior to the early access public.
Sometimes video game communities are so stupid. Of course they give review copies to, like Force. How the fuck do you think Force was able to release a guide or a video? I played Avowed, these are my reviews. Because you got a fucking review copy. That's what you do, and it's for your best interest. Review copies are not there to help, like, oh yeah, we just want to give the reviewers the ability to play the game because they're better than you. No. The review copies are there to serve a purpose to you, the customer, to better inform you on how to make a purchasing decision with your money. To the actual game, it gets reset.
Launch, there would be no early access copies prior to that December 6th release. Those weren't supposed to happen as far as everyone was concerned. So what exactly is going on here? Well, I will tell you right after this. Today's video is sponsored by Light of Monterey.
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you, Force. I have a video. I want to get paid for this. I have a video about this fucking game. Where is it? It has 994,000. It's going to hit 1 million views. I didn't get any fucking. They didn't pay me for this shit, and they're already paying him. How did this happen? This is such bullshit. Light of Mortarum with Monster Hunter vibe already looks better than Horizon Zero Dawn. See? Look,
I'm a
brand risk. Yeah, they risk making a lot of money because everybody's gonna actually watch the fucking video. I make a whole video about it. It's gonna fuck, man.
Crafting game with action combat, all set in a world reclaimed by nature.
The only risk they're going to have is their servers crashing.
These players will explore a variety of landscapes, uncovering ancient secrets and forging bonds with powerful mech animals.
I should stop playing
Features include a fully seamless open world where you'll traverse grasslands, deserts, forests, and mountains. There's a variety of weapons you'll use and combat stretching a wide range of mechanical foes. You've got all the basics with light and heavy attacks, dodging, blocking, counters.
Maybe they were unhappy because I said that every single attack that the bosses did was copied directly from Elden Ring. damn right, by the way. Special abilities. Fighting alongside you are the mech animals, over 100 to collect. Each this is the Fallen Star-based roles they fulfill, aiding you in battle. There's the survival crafting mechanics and unpredictable weather you'll have to protect against. And co-op gameplay, as you can group with other players anytime hunting beasts, gathering resources, or building bases together. If you'd like to learn more, you can check out Light of Moderum yourself using the link in the video description below. Alright, so let's get into the major issues around everything that's been going on over the past 24 hours. So the first big thing is that it appears like Fextralite posted their review, let's call it a tad early. At the time it went live, it was the only one out there, which had everyone speculating, or they broke the embargo and they posted the review early. They made a mistake, but it turns out that they didn't make the mistake. POE said they made the mistake. The only outlet who got review codes? Now, no, as a they just posted far prior to the actual embargo. Now, after not too long, Fextralite did take their video down. It was self-removed, and as of this recording, it is no longer available for viewing. You cannot go check the review yourself. Now, everyone was quick to blame them for breaking embargo, because of course, right, this is not a good thing. And also, Fextralite has a bad reputation, especially among streamers, because of the way that they did embedding. So like they're like prime, it's people are ready, bro. They've already got 5 stacks of Sunder armor on them. People are ready to attack and be doing it. But apparently the fault lies with the developer, Grinding Gear Games. They said themselves on Twitter. Unfortunately, there was a miscommunication with Fextralite that resulted in a video being posted early. This was a mistake on our end and is in no way on Fextralite. Now, I was seeing speculation that the developer might just be falling on the sword here. They would not have done that. Like, no. They're lying about it being their fault so as to save Fextralite from getting hate. The argument that I've seen is if it was GGG's fault and there was a miscommunication, why didn't any of the other outlets break embargo? Like, why was it only Fextralite who broke embargo? They all got the same embargo timing, right? And that sounds simple, right? But surprise, things are rarely as simple as they sound. As someone who has done quite a few reviews and previews in the past that come with embargoes, I can tell you the process looks different all the time, and it can often be quite a bit messy. So sometimes you get all of the info, the embargo timing, basic details in the game, the installation and review guides, all of it comes nicely in a package in a pre-made PDF. Everyone gets the same PDF with all the same info, easy, right? Like no confusion should be had. Sometimes that happens. Other times, it's just a literal email from some contact at the company or in relation to the company that says, hey, here is the game code, embargo lifts at such and such a time on such and such a day, let us know if you have any questions, and then that's it. It's literally just an email that somebody sent with a couple of lines of info, and many times this will be like a back and forth conversation with them, giving you the code and then saying embargo comes later and then sending the embargo, and this process can and does vary wildly from game to game, from review and preview to review and preview. The same thing, and also like another component for this is the telephone component, where a lot of times some of these things will be done through third parties, and then you have communications because the third party could misunderstand what the publisher is telling them, or they could misinterpret what that is and then send the wrong thing to the reviewer. You have to keep in mind that a lot of times this process is handled by a third party. So it's not even a media contact or someone who actually works at GGG who is handing out their information. Many times developers will hire agencies to do all of the back. A great example of this going wrong was Black Myth Wukong. Do you remember when people were getting like things that were saying like don't talk about certain social issues while you're playing the game? That was because it probably came directly from the publisher. Because those are the rules that China has set, because China has certain speech regulations that they ask people to follow when certain games are being reviewed, because they're assuming it's going to a Chinese audience. Or communication for pre-launch reviews. The point is, it is very possible that yes, somebody actually made a mistake when sharing this review info with Fextralite. And this isn't me trying to build a case to defend them, I'm just letting people know this stuff can often be like way more casual and messy than you would assume. It is absolutely possible that somebody just screwed up, they gave them the wrong day, they accidentally typed. Mistakes happen, guys. Like big time mistakes happen all the time. Really?
People fumble in the Super Bowl. Big mistake. To the wrong time zone, they didn't even include a time zone. Mistakes like this happen somewhat frequently. In fact, I can tell you, I have been sent wrong embargo information on numerous occasions, and I'm not talking like just once or twice. It's happened several times over this past year alone. Now, fortunately, those were all corrected prior to me posting, either because I decided to double check to make sure that the information was accurate, or because they send a follow-up email that says, hey, we made a mistake, the embargo is actually at this specific time and day instead. Now, of course, I don't know exactly what happened in this particular situation. We're all just guessing, but I do believe Grinding Gear Games. Like, I don't think they're lying about this being their fault. It's ridiculous to say that they're lying just to save the ass of some shitty fucking reviewer. Like, it's such a stupid thing. Like, the only people that think that are on Reddit. Like, I guarantee you there's somebody on the PoE subreddit. The PoE subreddit, in my opinion, I think GGG gives them way too long of a fucking leash. Like, some of the crazy shit that I see on there, it's like if the league, if the servers go down on the league for more than 2 hours, you can guarantee that there will be a drama that's completely unrelated to it. Every time that a league goes out and there are no server crashes and everything goes out without a problem, there's never any drama. The only reason why PoE leagues have drama is because people can't play the game and they're stuck in queue. I've been a part of the problem so much over the years. There's no real drama. Mistakes are not uncommon. And frankly, I think it's ridiculous to think that the devs would be lying here if there was no miscommunication. Yeah, GGG could have just not mentioned the embargo. Yeah, they could have just not put the video down. They could have just ignored it, but they made a whole big post about it, I think, because it was their fault. There's really no sense in them lying to cover factualize. But when somebody breaks in purposefully, you know what happens? You get blacklisted. You don't get codes from that company ever again. The devs are not coming out lying to cover up somebody else's screw up. Like, I at least thank you. Exactly. I've never seen this happen. Maybe this is the first time, right? But anyways, that out of the way isn't even the biggest issue that people have right now. Exactly, yeah. This is, by the way, FX Drive wasn't wrong in this circumstance, but this video is not even halfway over. Here we go. This isn't the main reason people are upset, but because Factualize broke the embargo, right? The main reason that a lot of people are really upset right now is just the fact that pre-launch review codes are even happening. Many are under the impression that this wasn't going to be the case for Path of Exile 2, and that we would all be playing the early access version of the game for the first time together on December.
Innnn performs live when CBS presents the NCB VMAs tomorrow, live on CBS.
The extra large New York style pizza at Papa John's is only $9.99 right now. $9.99. Bigger pizza, bigger bang for your buck. Get to Papa John's before this $9.99 price is gone. Cause the best things aren't around forever. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Are you still wearing regular pants? Why? When you can wear new Skechers slip-in pants. They have a stretchy elastic waistband, so it's easy just to slip them on. And they stay up, don't even need a belt. Plus, Skechers slip-in pants are breathable and flexible, so they fit everybody. Try new Skechers slip-in pants.
Number 6. So what's happening? Well, GGG addressed this as well in their tweet by saying, we've seen some speculation that some people might already have access to the early access version of Path of Exile 2. To clarify, some traditional games media have been given access to a review version of the game. Part of the stipulation that media were given is that this is for review purposes only. They may share their opinions of the game, but are not allowed to produce guide-style content from this version. That's important to keep that part in mind. That would spoil the discovery of the game or post unedited playthroughs. They are not playing on the same servers as the early access version, so none of the progress will be kept. In addition, all of the content they produce is embargoed until the early access on December 6th, so no content is supposed to be posted until then. That's then when they said, sorry, we had a miscommunication with Factualize, it's not their fault, it's ours. And then they wrap up by saying, on release day, we want players to be able to make a more informed choice about if that we believe that allowing traditional games media access should be able to accomplish this without spoiling the game.
And it is, and it does, and it happens all the time. Elden Ring did the same thing. Vadi Vidya got an early copy of Elden Ring. A lot of people got early copies of Elden Ring. Do you know who else got an early copy of Elden Ring? Ya boy. I did. Did I play it? Absolutely not. But I did get I technically got an early copy because of a Red Bull event that I participated in. That's how I was able to play the game early. And it was theoretically, like, the version that I got was the full game. So, there you have it. They have sent out new code. They asked me not to additional game media. This was done with the caveat that they couldn't post any guides or full walkthroughs. It was on entirely separate servers, so no progress will carry over, and the embargo is set to lift on December 6th when the game officially launches into early access. Now, besides the fact that now that we know the embargo is for December 6th, that means whatever miscommunication may have happened with Extra Life was hilariously massive. Like, they gave an embargo timing that was 6 days wrong. Excuse me? I don't know how that happens, but like I said, it's a sloppy process. There is miscommunication. People are misinformed. Sometimes the people relaying the information, the in-betweens, the agencies that are working with the developer and publisher and sharing information and dealing with all the reviewers. I feel like maybe I should stop pausing so much because he literally is saying the exact same thing that I said. Out codes and all that. Sometimes somebody just doesn't know everything, or they get something wrong, or they type something wrong. Like, that does happen. But anyway, that aside, people are just upset at the fact that anybody is playing the game prior to the full release. Why? Well, there's a few very particular reasons. For starters, people just have an issue with Extra Life in general, them getting access, because mainly, besides people who just don't like Extra Life for a variety of reasons, many of which I think are justified. I don't have a here's the thing. Remember when I told you guys about how you build 100 bridges and you suck one dick? You're not a bridge builder, you're a dick sucker? The problem with Extra Life is they suck 100 dicks and they only build one bridge. That's the reality. And so a lot of people don't like them. Grudge against the guy on the channel, but I understand why some people don't like him for the embedded Twitch view boosting that he does, for some of where they're getting their guidance. Well, they got that from Earth, so you can't do that anymore. The quality of their guides, whatever. He's not what many consider traditional games media, because they do run a wiki. Whatever you think of that wiki's quality, they do have a wiki with guides and information, and it even appears like they may have already started populating their wiki with info that was acquired during the review, which it wouldn't be. It did not appear that way. The reason why it appeared that way is because it appeared on their website, because they put it there. They were creating guides and walkthroughs for the game, and PoE explicitly said the review copy was not for that purpose. They broke the embargo regardless of the video upload. You just read what they said. Be surprised if they have at least got that process going. Okay, the wiki sucks. I think they're fine. They're going to have a wiki on PoE 2. They do have a wiki on PoE 2. They're at least going to start pre-filling out that information, even if it's embargoed for a week after launch, although it looks like some of that went live, and then they took it down. To be fair, I want to make one thing extremely clear about this. We're at 12:09. The stipulation, read this. They are not allowed to produce. Produce is not publish, it is create. So in the process of creating something and putting it on the internet, there are usually 2 or 3 steps. There's production, editing, and publishing. So just because they didn't take the first step doesn't mean that by definition they violated it by producing it in the first step. That's just again. That's what words are. Now I kind of disagree with this point. If you produce something, you make it. There is no way that you can define production as not making something. You just read what the dictionary definition of it is. It's plain English. After launch, although it looks like some of that went live, and then they took it down. But anyway, the point is, someone like Extra Life is really somebody in the chat does actually bring up a really good point, that it could have been worded differently on the legal document, and it could have been specified differently. So that's a good point, and we don't know the answer to that.
official games media because they have a wiki and they do post guides, and this makes it counter to GGG's stated philosophy of not wanting to spoil the discovery phase of the game prior to launch, or just not wanting to spoil it in general. Right. Review outlet like IGN or YouTubers, someone like SkillUp, if they get a review, we know it's going to be like a focused on the base game and sort of a one-off thing. Like there is little to no risk of outlets like that, of people like that, of channels like that, spoiling the experience and ruining the discovery of the game, especially for the late game and end game content. Like it's not going to happen. But that brings us to the other thing that's causing complaints here, is that players don't want the game solved prior to release. And this is a valid concern. I totally understand it. It's one that was widely expressed during the launch of Diablo 4, because with that game, myself and many others did have access to D4 prior to it coming out. And specifically, the hardcore sweats of the crowd, the super blasters, they basically had the whole game figured out before it launched. With leveling and end-game class build guides, with boss fighting tactics, with farming routes, so on and so on. I think especially for a genre like ARPGs, there's a lot of people who want to feel like they are part of that discovery phase all together as a community at the same time. And I think that's very true. And it's one of the, I feel like it's kind of like a lost lore type situation where a lot of people miss the days where you played a video game and everybody was starting off on the same foot when it came out, and people discover things collectively together. Whereas now, it's like, as soon as the game gets released, you have people that are already like creating this deluge of content that they've done through like betas or some sort of like internal copy, and so like you already